1998. I'll never forget it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What were you doing during 1998?
I was probably rolling around on the floor. I actually have quite a vivid memory as a young child of trying to eat the head off of a Thunderbirds rocket ship and like a toy one I had and choking. So,
Really?
Yeah.
And you could have been taken from us at such an early age.
Yeah.
Endeavouring to do great works.
No, but thankfully the Thunderbirds figured it out. They rescued me.
You psyched the thunder, and the Thunderbirds could not repel such an attack.
That had to be my namesake. I can't believe I didn't expect to be talking about Thunderbirds to open up the Resident Evil 2 podcast, but this is the energy we're bringing to Season 2.
Season 2, baby!
Of The List Goes On.
You might have thought Season 1 of The List Goes On was crazy, life-altering, and world-shattering, but just you wait until we talk about Resident Evil! Yay!
Alright, well, good thing I have all these notes prepared.
No, you don't. You're not prepared for this. You haven't put the work in like I have.
I know, you're quite right. Well, I wanted to make more time for this, but it's been a busy time for me.
It has been a busy time for Connor.
And I didn't get to play that much of this. Although, I've played this in my own time before. This is one of, there's not many games on the list where I've gone out and played them in my own time as well, without the consideration of recording, but Resident Evil 2 was really good fun. I got a copy of it for myself, and
I've played it here and there.
Yeah.
I've dabbled in Resident Evil 2 over the years.
Oh, you've dabbled in it, huh?
Oh, yeah. Every now and then, maybe I return to it, play a few minutes, beat the whole game.
I see.
Yeah.
Would you say that this game is your Legend of K? A game that you just come back to time and time again.
No, Connor, we can't talk about Legend of K. That was Season 1.
Well,
you're going to mess up the continuity.
Hey, listen, more people know about it than the Ridge Racer Type 4, apparently.
Oh, don't be bitter, though. Don't cover the audience for this.
No one knows about the perfect race, Ash.
Think of it this way. Much more people watched your Ridge Racer live stream than they watched our Legend of K episode.
That's a good point, actually.
There you go.
That's true. So all those people are going to get redirected to this episode.
They better.
Yeah.
You better. I'm pointing at no one, but I'm pointing at you, metaphysically. You out there.
You people.
Put the Doritos down and get over to the Ridge Racer episode.
But this is going to be a good one. I feel like we've got a lot for people to enjoy here.
Yeah, well, I asked you what you were doing in 1998, and I think it's only fair that I return with an answer of my own.
Oh, I realise you do have an answer for this, don't you?
Because, Connor, do you know what the very first video game I ever played was?
Danganronpa.
Close.
Fuck, I had money riding on that.
Well, you're a fool. No, it was Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation 1. Indicating that maybe I wasn't raised in the right way. And we can all see the results for ourselves.
I guess that's true. Although, I'd say the same thing, and I still got raised on, child scrungly platformers.
There you go.
And
there
fucking,
you go. Whereas I was tearing up the charts, playing through Resident Evil 1, getting to the very first zombie and not knowing how to raise my gun because I was 2.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I have a suspicion that experience has engendered in me from a very young age a desire to be the best at every Resident Evil game that's ever existed.
It's left a deep-seated trauma.
I'm like, I will never let this happen again. I will beat Resident Evil 0 more than once.
Well, we got to put you on the fucking zombie apocalypse planning committee. It sounds like you will account for every...
Well, just as long as we have the zombie apocalypse happen near a mansion, a police station, Raccoon City, Spain.
All right, well, I feel like at least 2 of those are possible. But, space and Spain...
Space?
Oh, wait, you said Spain, didn't you?
Yeah.
Where does space come from?
The sky.
Sure, yeah?
Yeah, it's up there, I see it.
Who the fuck took the ceiling? Holy shit!
If we're so rich, why can't we afford a proper ceiling?
I love that show.
Well, Connor, we're here today to talk about Resident Evil 2.
We are.
The 2019 remake of Resident Evil 2, to be specific, which I have finished probably 40 times, more than that, most likely.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I have an obsession with this game, or Resident Evil games, that is probably becoming clear by now.
Well, so as far as I understand, you kind of cycle between Resident Evil 4, the Resident Evil 2 remake, and the Resident Evil 1 remake quite consistently.
But then sometimes I'm feeling spicy, so I play Code Veronica.
Oh!
And then I'm like, Code Veronica fucking sucks. But I play it anyway.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, listen, you've seen my repertoire of games. Legend of K.
And
that's
the end of that.
That's it. You don't need any more evidence.
Well, it's indicative of how much I like this game that when we decided that we were going to do Resident Evil and when the time came that we were going to do the recording, that I endeavored to finish it 4 separate times.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't finished it 4 separate times, how could we possibly talk about it?
You know what? As someone who has finished it 2 separate times... Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I'm going to say about this game. I mean, really, this might be the game with the least to say about it ever.
I'm going to put the lie to that, Connor.
There's just so little going on in this game, right, Ash?
Is this a provocation? Are you trying to challenge me?
I believe the word I would use is I am trying to... I got nothing.
Wow.
This obviously came out in 2019.
2019, a remake of the 1998 original classic for the PlayStation.
Yeah, which, from what I remember, has quite striking box art.
Yes, we can see it on your computer right now. It's like a zombified face peeking from around the corner. Like, bleh.
Yeah, with a few sort of fingers on it. But I think the European version has a more kind of low res, very sort of
it's a terrible picture. It's like a really badly scanned like skull face.
It's a bad picture, but I actually find it scarier because there's something raw about it that kind of unsettles me. To me, that feels like looking at a zombie through like a CCTV camera or something.
Oh, that is pretty good. Yeah.
But by comparison, Resident Evil 2 coming out in 2019, this was around the time that even though physical media was still quite common, a lot of sort of gripping box art plans, sort of like a lot of that kind of gave up because most people it seems like a lot of people were already sold on whether or not they wanted to pick up a game or not. Like box art used to be...
Yeah, I don't think people are going into a store and being like, well, this looks pretty cool and buying it like that, you know?
Yeah, that's the case these days. So as a result of that, box art tends to just be an adaptation of like what it would look like on the Steam page or like the
PlayStation logo or something like that.
The PSN store.
I mean, it's fetching art. It's Leon and Claire with their backs to each other, with their guns raised, a horde of zombies behind them. I quite like this like orange strip of the city below them because it's a very blue cover, then it's kind of like undercut by the orange part, and that's quite catching.
A little bit. It catches the eye, but I guess like this will be my controversial... It's not controversial.
This is the hottest take of the century, listeners. Buckle up.
I'm just like, I don't feel that strongly about it. I think I feel the same about it as I do for, say, the American Resident Evil 4 box art, where I'm like,
it suffices.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It does the job.
It'll do.
It has Leon and Claire on it.
Leon and Claire.
Yeah.
The 2 principal characters of this video game.
That they are. They don't favour one over the other.
Yeah. Which they do sometimes.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
Listen, the Resident Evil 1's original box art with Chris Redfield on it is so good. But it's like, who's Jill? Who cares?
Well, at the very least, when they did the remake on GameCube, the North American box art has Jill on it rather than Chris.
Oh, does it?
Although she's being grabbed by a zombie.
But I feel like that works.
It does,
though.
yeah, it does.
Like, like in both of those pictures, like they're in peril. Like
Chris is like, oh,
yeah. Chris Redfield looks like he's cracked out of his mind, whereas Jill looks like she's fearful for her life. So I think it works.
Yeah. All right. So Resident Evil 2, Connor, need you to look back into the well of the past and think about how you felt about Resident Evil 2 before we decided to play it for the list to go on.
Well, I knew about the prestige of the series.
Yeah.
And I remember Resident Evil 2's remake specifically being something that a lot of YouTubers were talking about. Like, it just seemed... Like, it came out in, the January or February 2019?
Yeah, that's the Capcom slot. Yeah. January of each year.
Yeah, it's a very dry spell. It's either that or Yakuza.
Right.
It's a very dry spell. So
Nintendo puts out, like, a game no one cares about.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. Here's Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
So as a result, loads of people covered it, and I was like, wow, that looks fucking cool. It's a shame that at this, like, I think at the time I was recording it, I don't think I had, like, a PS4 or I didn't have, like, a strong enough PC or anything to play it. So I was like, I mean, whatever. That's cool. I'll let it slide and let it go by. But I always thought it looked kind of interesting. And then we shuffle over to about 2 years later as we're coming out of the COVID pandemic. You're like, listen, Connor, you know what we should do as part of the list once we fucking get out of COVID jail?
What's that, buddy?
Which is you were like...
Wait, I'm pretending to be you in this role play.
Yeah. Which is, I'm going to get you to try a Resident Evil game. And you decided the one I was going to start with was the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect game for a beginner. I think it encapsulates all that is magical about Resident Evil in a very modern, accessible package. Because you can get someone to play the Resident Evil 1 remake, but they'll get mad at you. They'll poke you in the eyes and go, "What are you doing? I can't move around in this game. What's happening?" You know, you have to like go in gently. You have to immerse people in something they can get behind first.
Oh yeah, you put me in backwards. You started me out with a modernized remake of the Resident Evil games. You then got me playing Resident Evil 4 and then Resident Evil 1's remake.
And then
Resident Evil 5.
And then
Resident Evil 6.
And you loved it. Every second.
It put a genuine strain on our friendship.
No, it didn't. Shut up.
We couldn't look each other in the eyes the same way again.
Yeah, it made Dungeons and Dragons very awkward for a while there. Especially since Resident Evil 6 took 7 years to beat.
Look, we had to take a break and play Prison Break.
We did have to take a break and play Prison Break.
Yeah, that was how bad Resident Evil 6 was.
We turned to the big beefy arms of Prison Break.
You'd be like, what? Why Prison Break?
Don't ask.
That's always the question you
ask. You should have learned by now. Okay, so you had a passing interest in this game.
Yeah. How did you feel about the Resident Evil 2 remake?
So the story of the Resident Evil 2 remake is long and dramatic. Basically, to shorten it as much as I can for the sake of everyone apart from me, they made a remake of Resident Evil 1.
When?
In 2001.
Wow, 18 years later.
18 years later. Well, the idea, right, is that they did that remake of Resident Evil 1, and they actually said they were going to... Well, it might be lost in translation, but they put out a press release when they were announcing the RE1 remake. They were going to remake 1, 2, 3, and Code Veronica, and they were going to just basically redo the entire series for the GameCube in the same graphic style as the first game.
That's quite bold, given that at that point Code Veronica had been out for barely any time at all.
Yeah, right. I mean, maybe they weren't going to do Code Veronica, but they definitely were going to do 1, 2, and 3, the PlayStation 1 trilogy. They then put out Resident Evil 1 to critical acclaim, as I said in our Resident Evil 4 episode. However, it did not sell very well at all. It sold 1.35 million copies all told, which is decent, but for a big Resident Evil game, that's not really much at all, to be honest.
No.
So plans for a actual proper remake of Resident Evil 2 were shelved, partly because of that, and partly because they didn't want to take staff off of Resident Evil 4, which was having a difficult time getting developed.
Oh, so God, yeah.
They wanted all hands on deck for that game, rather than just doing a remake of Resident Evil 2, especially if it was going to sell 1 million copies and that was it. Until, cut a whole decade later, or a decade and a half, basically, Resident Evil's brand, in 2015, not in the best place.
No.
I mean, the most recently released mainline game of the series was Resident Evil 6.
Which sold too well for what it was.
Oh, it is. It's the only mainline Resident Evil game they ported to Switch that sold 1 million copies, which is embarrassing and sad. And also, like, Revelations 2 was coming out, but Revelations 2 was for the fans. Like, no one out there is playing Revelations 2 isn't a Resident Evil diehard,
a sequel to a 3DS game?
A sequel to a 3DS game that had the budget of around $25, seemingly.
No.
And, like, we hadn't been shown Biohazard yet, or Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, I should say, Resident Evil 7, which was a return to form both in terms of its style and quality. And so we were in a weird place. Like, it just seemed that the series was getting worse and worse. There wasn't much light on the horizon. A few things Capcom had said about horror have been like encouraging, but it was still murky. That is until we watched a video by Hideyoshi something or another. Who announced to the world with confidence that production had been greenlit on a remake of Resident Evil 2. And when he says production had been greenlit, he means that quite literally. They had not begun making the game yet, but they had received approval to start doing it.
Well, I feel like doing it that early without showing anything would just make people go, oh God, you're going to make Resident Evil 2 in 6's style?
Yeah, I think the idea was they were like, listen, fellas, I know you all are mad at us right now, but what if, though?
You liked that, right?
Yeah, and we did. We all went, yay! Especially at the part when he unzipped his jacket and revealed that he was wearing a shirt called We Do It.
Great.
Which was it was a great moment for all peoples.
Do you think this is what inspired that one guy at BioWare to do that?
Did he do that?
There was a guy in BioWare who said, like, hey, listen, so we've got a special announcement hidden away in our booth this year about the next big IP we're working on.
Wow.
And it turns out that one of the devs was wearing a t-shirt with Anthem written on it. and that was their soft announcement that they were making a new series. And
this game is named after a noun.
That's incredible work, because one, they were announcing a game that's name was just, one boring word,
one
that
completely meaningless word. Yeah.
And second of all, that game became Anthem.
Yeah, I was going to say I probably wouldn't have heard about this because it happened to BioWare after 2012. So who really cares at that point? But anyway, so Resident Evil 2, they then went dark on Resident Evil 2. We didn't get any news about it for 3 more years. When at E3 2018, Sony's press conference, they showed this trailer for the game, revealing the new direction, the new visuals, all the character designs, and then 6 months later, it was out. And that was it. Incredibly short time from announcement of the actual game to the release. It was a really brisk period.
That's refreshing, honestly.
Yeah. I then, of course, immediately purchased a game, or a copy of the game, using my brother's money. Because he lent me some money before I got paid for uni so I could play it. Because he was nice like that. Honestly, a really cool guy move.
Yeah.
And I then proceeded to play it all the time.
And the rest was history.
Yeah, I've now played it on every platform it's come out on. I finished it so many different times. Oh, God. I could have been an inventor.
Listen, I've seen you do that work where you could just do all the save combinations immediately. You know how to do all the tech to get around zombies super quick.
That's true, yeah. I mean, I can share my sweet times if people care about that. I think my best is 2 hours, 20 minutes.
Gee, really?
Yeah. I did one last year where I just didn't... Because my problem is that I always get all the items. And I decided just to not do that. And I saved 40 minutes and I got through it incredibly quickly.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Jesus. Well, I mean, that's fucking impressive. I can't say that about any other game I played.
Yeah, well, if you just finish a game 45 times, you too will be as skilled as I am.
If I put my mind to it, I could probably get a 3-hour speed run of Dawn of War Dark Crusade, but I wouldn't be having fun with that.
I bet you could finish Shadow very quickly.
Oh, well, actually, yeah, neutral route would be super easy.
There you go, yeah. Perfect.
But no, I couldn't do this game in that amount of time. I'm too much of a lummox. I'm too clumsy.
Well, that's one of the joys of doing the list, is that, I don't know, when you bring a game to someone that you have a great fondness for and you're watching them play it for the first time, it's almost like you're playing it for the first time yourself.
Yeah.
Watching you, let's be honest here, bumble your way through this game.
I was bumbling my way through it.
Well, because you're a meanderer. You like to take in the scenery. You like to absorb the atmosphere.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And this game is dripping with it.
And there's no judgment for that, because it's a really good way to play games, especially horror games. That's what they're there for at the end of the day. Yeah.
And they probably significantly increased the playtime of them as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Clock Tower 3 is 4 hours long? Yeah. When I was playing it, I probably got 6 or 7 hours out of that game.
Yeah, and I think when we played it, I tricked you, of course, as according to the lore of the story of the show, and we did it in a single sitting. Yeah, which was quite the experience.
That was quite the experience. I still had the time to look at everything in its proper form, but
really soak it in.
Yeah, but this is definitely. I think it's a good word for me to describe this game is just not soak, but soak it in.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because hot diggity, I don't know if this game's visuals have really aged too badly.
No. So here's another little piece of Ash lore. I recently built a gaming computer for playing video games on. It's the first time I've ever done it myself, and that was a fun time. But I played Resident Evil 2 on it, and that game just holds up so well visually. It's such a concise and efficient vision of just that location, and everything is so well realized that I don't think the game will ever look bad.
Yeah, it was a really strong show of that engine.
Oh, 100%. The RE engine.
Yeah. Classic. You look at every little sort of ligament of every muscle on every fucking zombie.
God, all the fog enveloping each room, all the lighting and stuff, the flashlight cutting through the darkness.
Yeah, it is quite. Admittedly, the way the lighting engine works can be kind of funny because you walk from one room to another and the colors completely change, and it's okay, well, this is how you've gotten it to look so good.
Yeah, and I think the biggest criticism I always have with the game's graphics is the subspace reflection tech is really glitchy and doesn't look very good. It's rendering when you're in the main police hallway and you look at the sides of reflective surfaces and they just look really blurry and pixelated and stuff.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, this was coming out right at the end of the 8th gen.
Oh, 2019, just before we got the PS5 and Xbox. And the game was targeting 60 on every console when it came out.
Yeah, I mean,
it didn't reach it on the base consoles, but it was getting close.
Yeah, that's true, because the Pro and everything they'd be doing.
The Pro was out. Yeah, that was you can play it in 4K or at 60, and it's well, I'd play at 60. I'm not a crazy person.
Yeah, especially when you had the RE4 remake come out about 4 years later, and that also came out on PS4. Did it?
That's where I played it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to open so many gates very slowly.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and like the textures would never load in. It was great.
Oh dear. But this was a much better optimized sort of game for that platform.
It was a tour de force. It was legitimately jaw dropping at the time. Like, it was so well optimized. It looked so good. Like, Resident Evil's always been something of like a big budget like showcase, but RE2 for me was the game that really like took my breath away when I first saw it.
Yeah. It's been a very consistent theme with Resident Evil remakes, is them being really, really good graphically.
Oh, yeah, that first one, man.
Yeah.
Like, it looks so good.
That's impressive to nowadays.
That game's like 2 decades old and it still looks incredible.
Yeah. But this one was running in real time. I mean, as a brief aside, because you obviously mentioned the development sort of getting greenlit and everything and taking that sort of time to kind of plod along, but wasn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it kind of an unusually kind of strenuous thing? Because I remember they acted like it was a pretty big achievement when it came out.
Do you mean the remake or the original?
Of the Resident Evil 2 remake.
I don't think we know too much about the actual development cycle. There's lots of stories about the original that I could tell, but the remake, I don't think it was that difficult. I think they nailed it, basically.
Okay.
I mean, it was a short cycle of like 3 years, and I haven't heard it being turbulent. Like, I know the original was, but...
No, that's fair. I'd love to hear more about it in some way, though, just because I feel like taking the strides to go way back to another... Well, to be honest, this feels like it's its own style. It's going for Resident Evil 4-ish-y controls.
Yeah.
But it's not a first-person game like RE7. It's not a kung fu extravaganza.
Like Resident Evil 6.
Resident Evil 6, yeah.
I seem to recall, I'm trying to think back, because there were certain things where they talked about how when they were remaking some rooms... they had to think more about how to hide zombies because you now have a traditional third-person camera rather than fixed camera angles.
Yeah.
So whereas before you could put zombies in the parts of the room that weren't being covered by the camera when you entered it, that was no longer a thing. So that's why they have lots of zombies hidden in vents and like sitting in corners and stuff. Because they had to think of ways to scare you with zombie positioning without having the camera tricks to do it.
I feel like they do well with lighting.
Yeah, that was one of the things they said. Lighting, fog, position, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's also the same with the sound as well. Because with a fixed camera angle, the sound would always be coming from a fixed source. But when you can move the camera around, that's no longer true. So that was one of the things they talked about. But
yeah, it's very creepy to be going through a dark room and you can just hear it going past your your ear if you've got the headphones in. But also when you're but there's also been plenty of times where I've been walking through the dark and I've suddenly heard one that's been crawling around on the floor trying to get me, and I've just stepped over it and I'd be like, I was probably pixels away from getting grabbed.
Yeah. Or when you go into a room and you just hear the lickers coming from the distance. I always liked, it's getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but I always liked how in the pursuer sections of the game you could hear Mr. X's footsteps as he thumps around the mansion.
Yeah, it's such a good detail.
It's an incredible detail, yeah.
I mean, that guy's star of the show.
Yeah. Talking of characters and the story, shall I give you a brief description of the game's plot?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Or the premise, I should say. So, the year is 1998. We find ourselves in the Midwestern American city known as Raccoon City, which is my favorite fictional place name of all time. It's just below a bar named Fate from Bouncer. It's such a good name. And what's been happening in Raccoon City recently is a mysterious outbreak of cannibalism attacks.
Cannibals are on the loose?
In the forests in the forests surrounding the Arklay Mountains, there's been a reporting of several cannibalistic attacks of hikers and travelers.
Oh God!
Recently, I don't know how to explain them, like a special division of the police force called STARS.
The Special Tactics and Rescue Service.
Yes, they were sent to a mansion in the woods to investigate it. Well, actually, no. They were just sent to the woods generally. Yeah. They were just vibing in the woods. The guy got eaten by a dog and they ran off and they find the Spencer mansion.
And they lost that guy with the mortar.
Well... Yeah, he would have changed the outbreak if only he was still alive.
Why was he in the rescue service?
He was mortaring hostages.
Oh no! That's a breach of a lot of Geneva's conventions.
Yeah, well, shit's crazy in Raccoon City. So anyway, they go to this mysterious mansion and they come back telling tales of a mysterious virus that turns people into the living dead, all instigated by the mysterious pharmaceutical company Umbrella. However, Umbrella, which is situated in Raccoon City, has such a tight grip on the levers of power within the town that their reports are entirely waved away. They find themselves completely unable to talk to the media, to their fellow police officers, to anyone really. So they can't tell anyone what's been going on, which then leads to tragedy when a zombie outbreak breaks out due to the presence of some rats who drank some delicious sippy juice that made them into zombie carriers. And now, as the city is collapsing into terror and death, a college student with a penchant for motorcycles and a recently hired rookie police officer find themselves into the city and into a nightmare beyond their imagining. And then they will enter the world of survival horror.
Oh, but you left out a really important detail.
Is it that there's a guy who eats a burger?
Yeah, there's a guy who eats a really realistic looking burger. And it looks so delicious. So much so that before we recorded this, I had to get one.
Well, at least he got to eat a tasty burger before he died.
He did. Yeah. He was listening to some radio show, and they talk on the radio about how this guy's seen what looks like someone whose face is running off, and he goes,
the radio
sounds like my wife.
Yeah. Well, that's really good for setting the scene, because the game's story isn't necessarily the most important aspect, but there is a lot of good setup where you're watching this truck driver go along, and then he suddenly runs a person over, and he obviously gets out of his truck in a big panic, and he's like, oh no, what have I done? And then he goes over to the person who's run over, who suddenly reanimates and grabs him and eats him up like he is a delicious burger.
Yeah.
And it's on this context that you either begin as Claire or Leon.
Yeah.
And you find yourself in a petrol station, I believe.
Yeah, or a gas station for our North American viewers.
Oh, of course, I'm sorry.
To be fair, I feel like we might be the only people that call it a petrol station. I think that might just be a Britishism.
Yeah, out of respect for the late Queen.
God bless her soul.
Yeah. Please pause for the 5-minute tribute to Queen Elizabeth.
I'll put a 5-minute tribute to Queen the band here.
Yeah, or just put a MIDI version of the national anthem.
Over the lowest quality picture of Queen Elizabeth I can find.
Yeah. So Claire / Leon make their way through this gas station. There you go, for Eurobone. Where they are suddenly attacked by a zombie, and then they reunite with the other member of the party.
From the party.
Yeah, make their way into Raccoon City, get run over by the guy who was driving that truck, who is becoming a zombie. Yeah. And then are separated, and then each separately make their way to the police station where the game's events will take place.
Yeah. And from this point on, that's where you obviously choose your character, and you proceed to play as them for the entire rest of the game, while the other one just kind of shows up occasionally to be like, hey,
what do you think?
I'm here. I'm doing my own cool story that somehow overlaps with yours, but not really.
Exactly the same, and we solve the same puzzles, but don't worry about it.
We don't bump into each other somehow.
Yeah, it's fine.
Listen, Marvin's no snitch. Marvin's laying there, he's wounded, and he just when Leon walks by, he just kind of puts his lips against his fingers like, hey, listen, mum's the word, mate.
Yeah.
I won't tell Claire you're here.
He gets so much joy out of watching people solve the unicorn puzzle.
He's like, I knew what it was the whole time.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a dying man. I need to take some joy out of it.
He's like someone who works in an escape room. And he has to just keep doing it over and over again and feigning surprise and stuff.
Oh my god, that's a really good way of describing the police station.
Yeah.
It's the police station, which is one of the most striking locations in this game. I would say it's the location of this game.
I would say it's one of the most striking locations in the series.
Yeah.
It's the Spencer Mansion.
Yeah.
Spain.
True. I wish Spain was real.
Yeah.
But but given the police station, which is this, it's contextualized in the remake as a museum that has been converted into a police station.
It's like a Gothic architecture museum that got turned into a police station.
Yeah, so thus, as a result of it, that has all the trappings of the original Resident Evil's mansion, having these very unusual puzzles and these very cryptic hints everywhere.
Kind of a weird aside, but that is one of the funniest things about that premise in the original, is that it feels like Capcom were really hurt that people said that it doesn't make sense, all these puzzles in this mansion. So they're like, no, it used to be a museum, and that's why there's all this art here, okay? No, it makes sense, leave us alone.
Yeah, please, we've got a reason. So fucking Marvin just being there, who's the police officer, one of the few survivors of the Raccoon City outbreak, because, dear God, this fucked everyone up.
Oh yeah, I believe, canonically, there are 3 survivors of the Raccoon City outbreak.
Wait, but what about Hunk?
What about Hunk? Or the cast of Resident Evil Outbreak File 2?
Or isn't Jill technically running around?
There are 4 survivors of the Raccoon City outbreak. I forgot about Jill.
That's the thing about the whole, there's only 3. It's surely Resident Evil 3 also happens around the same time as Resident Evil 2.
It happens 2 weeks before and a day after.
It's like a time jump?
Resident Evil 3 is a game of 2 halves.
Oh.
There is a time jump, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. But that's an aside.
I think the implication is that in Resident Evil 2, the outbreak's been happening for a while. And then Resident Evil 3, you see the beginnings of it.
Yes, I think from reading the diary entries, that is implied that there's at least several days going on.
Yeah, because there's like a massive siege of the police station, and the numbers being dwindled over several days of repeated zombie attack. So it's been in progress for a while, which makes it really funny that neither Claire or Leon have heard of it.
Yeah, as they're like driving on, like Leon's getting ready for his first day at the job. It's like,
I hope everyone likes me.
He hasn't checked in at the office. He just figures he'll turn up.
I hope they didn't give me the part for the wrong gun.
Oh my god, that's a really good bit, which we'll get to a bit later. Yeah, it's a very gripping introduction. I think the atmosphere is incredible. I do sort of like the bits of characterization, and the kind of setup is really good.
I really like that like intro movie they've added, where after Leon and Claire have met each other, it does that with like Resident Evil 2 like intro opening cinematic where it like zooms over the city and it's got all these like really stylish moody shots, and it's like Resident Evil 2.
Yeah, I like that as well, although I think what I think is a hugely missed opportunity with it is that it seems to like I had it in my memory that it's supposed to look like the city from above with all the lights everywhere, and then they all go out except for the ones that spell out Resident Evil 2 like in the city grid. But that's not actually what happens. It just fades the words Resident Evil 2 over it, and it's like, oh, come on.
It would have been cooler, but
also that thing is that intro also implies the game is going to take place across the entire city, whereas you explore maybe 1/8 of a city block.
I actually remember that being one of the things, like one of the few criticisms I always heard about Resident Evil 2 was people thought you would be exploring the entire city, but it's just the police station and surrounding buildings.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Which is a shame, but they eventually did those other games where you do more and...
You idiots, go play Resident Evil Outbreak.
Yeah.
Aren't you happy now?
Oh dear. Well,
no, we're never happy, Capcom.
Someone will like it.
Yeah. And I honestly think that the Resident Evil structure for those classic games suits a very central, memorable location that I don't think you could do quite as well with just cities.
No.
Or city streets.
Well, yeah, no, that's why I don't mind the police station 100%. Being this weird looking place with these kind of weird anachronisms to it, because it makes it memorable.
It does make it very memorable.
Like, listen, there's technically 4 main kind of levels in this game, and I'm only talking about one of them because it's the most distinct looking one.
You don't like the sewers?
Ash, when has anyone ever liked a sewer? Name me 4 people who like the sewers who aren't called Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, or Raphael.
I don't even know 4 people.
All right, well, I've played you. I played you for a fool.
I
got you there.
I will now disappear from the podcast.
Oh, no, now it just all becomes me where I just sit here like, I barely remember this game. That's not true. I've got notes.
Yeah. We played a little bit of it as well before we did. And by a little bit, I mean the first third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still think this game holds up. I mean, in like 2022, I was sick off work for about a week, and I just played through a good chunk of Resident Evil 2 during that week, and had a lot of good fun with it.
I'm glad. It's the biggest joy. I think you feel the same way when you make your friend play a game that they really love.
Yeah,
that kind of like sneaks into their favorite games and they play it quite a lot. Like that's a really cool feeling.
Whenever I found out you play Crash Bandicoot, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah,
whoa.
I'm sure you look forward to when you maybe play a game that's good. I'm sorry, God.
You hurt me like this.
I don't mean to. I just have to do it for content.
Is the Sniper 2 not good enough?
All right. Well, should we talk about the structure and feel of this game?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've kind of touched on it a little bit.
Yeah. But I want to dig a little deeper into the actual gameplay now and do my classic Ash survival horror structure chat.
Yes.
Because I got a lot of things to say about survival horror structure and how they've adapted it for a modern game. Because this is a kind of experience, the classic, you're in a big room, solve puzzles, collect resources, that you don't see too much in the modern era.
No.
You kind of get it with Resident Evil 7, but the thing about Resident Evil 7 is that it's not very good.
Like overall, or just that part of it?
I'll leave it up to your imagination. But I don't think Resident Evil 7, for all its aesthetic accomplishments or its success in bringing the series back into relevance, is that good of a survival horror game. I think the levels are too simplistic. I think the puzzles are really easy to solve. I don't think it really holds up under that scrutiny.
Okay.
So for me, this is the first thing that's taken that formula and moved it across into the modern era and has done it, I would say, entirely successfully. Because this is, to a T, a survival horror game. The general gameplay loop is that you will explore a dangerous map littered with enemies. You'll find puzzles, you'll find weapons, you'll find items. You've got to manage those resources while solving the puzzles around the map, and eventually you will win.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, there's not too much deviance from that setup.
So by comparison to something like Resident Evil 4, where a big emphasis on it was its big shift into combat and the game revolving around this gunplay and this focus, this is more of a focus on exploration, on puzzle solving and item management.
In this game, combat is solely for depletion of resources and tension.
Yeah.
Combat is not the draw. I mean, the combat is closer to Resident Evil 4 in terms of its general setup, because it's a third-person camera, but I wouldn't say it's the best shooting in the world, because that's not the focus.
Yeah, well, every time I've played this game, I've had to adapt more and more to a strategy of, right, I need to disable enemies more than kill them outright, because I will be wasting far too many bullets trying to do that.
Yeah. Because we're back to zombies having randomized health pools as well. So one zombie will not take the same amount of bullets as another zombie.
Yeah, and in your case, you might get fucking lucky and just start headshotting them one after the other.
They call it luck or they call it skill. It's up to you to decide. But yeah, so what I want to say about this stuff is that because the game no longer has fixed camera angles and has a third-person shooting system, there are a few changes that have to be made to make that setup work. Because if it's a game where you're fighting Resident Evil 2, the original style zombies, that would be a game that is far too easy, because you would be able to duck and weave around them. It's like if you ever go back and play the Resident Evil 1 remake with the modern controls, well, modern I say with disdain in my voice, controls that they added to the remake when they did it in HD, where if you can move that freely around those zombies, they will never catch you, because you can just duck and weave around them and they don't have the animation speed to catch up with you, basically. So what they had to do here was, instead of having zombies, Instead of having zombies grab you when you're close to them, zombies now have a lunge, basically. Yeah. And when they grab you, you go into an animation where that's it. You've been grabbed. You will take that damage unless you use a defensive item. And it's a much, much longer range than before. They can sometimes, when you're unlucky, they can grab you from across the world. They can fly through the room and just like jonk at you and get a chunk out of you, because they need to compensate for how quick you are now.
I want to note that while Ash has been talking about this, she has been basically doing the motions at me. So it's been a real like 3D experience of feeling like I'm about to get grabbed by a zombie.
Well, I gotta gesticulate for our audio podcast.
That is very true.
The people will feel the air shifting and they'll know.
Yeah, we put a lot of effort into the visual element of this podcast.
I hope you will appreciate it.
But it's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I mean, you got to be really careful with your positioning. Oftentimes, I will find I'll need to try and I started to do this strategy of trying to go around the back of zombies in the hopes that, like if they do try to lunge forward, it will be too late for them and I'll have already gotten away. But sometimes they can like gradually kind of turn themselves around and try to get you, which...
Oh, they can do very specifically a 180-degree turn into a grab.
Yeah. So sometimes you just get very unlucky on that front. They're unpredictable creatures. And there's something that you... Like the populace of Raccoon City, you cannot underestimate a walking corpse, because...
And I'm of two minds about it, because in one, it does make zombies always a threat. No matter how good you get at the game or how much you play it, there's always an outside chance that you will just be grabbed by a zombie you couldn't see, or you weren't expecting it to lunge quite so dramatically. But other times, it can be so frustrating. Because in the original Resident Evil 2 and the original PlayStation 1 games more generally, there's a technique called zombie dodging, where, especially in the remake of 1, if you go up to a zombie and you get it to lunge, but you walk back from it quickly enough, it will be stunned in its lunge for a second and you can get around it. And that's a really important strategy to learn if you want to speedrun the game or play it more competently.
Yeah.
But in the remake of 2, that isn't possible anymore. Because if you try and nimbly dodge around a zombie, they can do a lunge and they will probably grab you because it they lock onto you.
Yeah.
And even if you do dodge them, they will just lunge again and then they've got you. There's no stun for it. There's no decay on recovery for that. They can just keep doing it over and over.
Oh, God.
Like, it's especially egregious with the enemies you fight in the sewers who are new to the remake, called the G-Things. Because...
I hate them.
Everyone hates them. They're awful. Bring back spiders, justice for spiders. But they have a grab attack that poisons you. And even if you use a grenade to break out of it, they can just grab you again immediately. And there's no way around them because they're so huge. And it's like, well, great. What was I to do?
Yeah, it's... To be fair, I think I do in principle like the idea of the zombies just always being a threat like that. Yeah. But it can get real frustrating. I kind of have more patience for it in the zombies than I would do... Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry, my computer just randomly opens my email.
Yeah.
And every hour. And I'm like, why? I don't have anything new coming in. What are you fucking doing? I have slightly more patience for the zombies being the ones with the random grabs than, say, like the G things or like the licker suddenly running up to you out of fucking nowhere because...
Yeah, the lickers are fun. It's like the lickers and the dogs are interesting because they actually have normal attacks.
Yeah.
They just hit you and then you can just run away.
Yeah. Whereas like the plant things and
the plantses, the planos,
whatever they're called.
Yeah, the P things.
The Gregs. I'm going to call them all Greg.
Okay, great.
Hey, listen, I mean, fucking Umbrella didn't have anything for them. They were that's true. What's this, Plant Experiment 1? Like,
lame.
Come on, guys. Like, no wonder they turned against you.
Well, isn't the plant from RE1 called, like, Plant 43 or something like that?
Something like that.
Something boring. Something lame. What happened to, like, the shark being called Neptune?
Yeah. Or Yawn the Snake.
Yawn the Snake, yeah. The invisible snake who eats Chris Redfield's men.
Oh, dude. Imagine if the fucking G things were called little sleepy nappy time guys.
Sleepy Pete's.
Like, like Yawn. Because, it's like they go, that's what you do when you wake up.
That's what we're doing right now.
I'm not yawning. No, don't you yawn. You'll make me yawn. It's contagious. Like a zombie virus.
Anyway. The zombie grabs have to be there. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't be a threat.
Yeah.
And even though they can be frustrating when you're doing a cool guy speedrun, I think it's an important part of the game design for them to have those kind of options against you.
Yeah. I think in terms of the feel as well, I think the way that you control in that game is also really important to the feel as well.
Yeah, it's so smooth.
Yeah.
Like butter.
Yeah, but it's still got restriction to it.
There's a little bit of weight to how you move. Like if you move left to right, you still have a little bit of a delay as you turn.
Yeah. I've been trying to figure out a way to describe this. I feel like if Resident Evil 4, even 1, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, if they had tank controls, I feel like the remake controls is like boat controls. Where, you're kind of careening, you're swerving around. Yeah. And there's, you've got to do your steers kind of early enough before something gets you. Otherwise, the proverbial ship that is Leon and Claire will capsize.
If you don't turn fast enough, you will strike a glancing blow on the iceberg. Yeah.
And speaking of breaking the icebergs and the proverbial ships, Leon and Claire, they don't have great chemistry.
They don't have chemistry.
No,
they don't. They meet maybe once throughout the entire game.
Yeah, they try to make it more like, oh look, they're getting along. Look at them. They'll be the bestest of friends, but like the game doesn't make them meet enough to really.
No, it's sad. What?
Yeah, it was a weird segue on my front.
Yeah, I was going to talk about knives.
I mean, absolutely, we can talk about knives. We can go into weapons if you want.
Yeah. Well, no, it's more that in the gameplay loop, the way that you mitigate zombie grabs is that you can have defensive items.
Yes.
So if you have a knife, a flash grenade, or a regular grenade, you can press space, shove that into a zombie's face, and that will get you free of their grasp with no damage taken.
Yeah, it's very bemusing to watch Leon and Claire shove a full-size grenade into a zombie's mouth like they're a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon.
And you get an achievement if you shoot it while it's in their mouth.
Really?
It makes them explode right away, yeah.
That's pretty handy.
It's really cool, yeah.
They just kind of stand there dumbfounded while these things are in their mouths, though. Yeah. It's especially funny with the clickers, because the clickers are...
The lickers. We're not talking about The Last of Us, Connor.
Fuck. The lickers... The lickers, when you put a flash grenade on them, they actually get stunned for far longer than the zombies will.
Because lickers are blind.
Yeah.
And they see through sound.
Yeah, so a big, loud, sort of ringing sound is going to leave them completely dumbfounded for ages.
That's kind of the trade-off with defensive items. Not so much with the knife, although I guess you can use the knife outside of escaping grabs, but the flash grenades and the regular grenades have really good utility outside of using them for those. So if you do end up getting grabbed and you have to use one of those to get out, it does feel like you're being punished for it. Because it's like, I could use that to kill like a whole group of zombies or to escape a licker.
Yeah.
So there's kind of like a trade-off of like, do I want to use this now? Is it worth taking the damage? Would I rather keep the grenade?
Yeah, you can also down something when you have a knife kind of stabbed into them and retrieve it.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. But the thing is that if you put a knife into a zombie and the knife has durability, because they have durabilities because you can't use them forever, if you kill that zombie, you can get the knife back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas the grenade has exploded, so you can't reassemble the pieces.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'd love to see Leon try.
Oh, that'd be great.
Glue it together and shovel the gunpowder back in there. Like, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. The gunpowder system, which is used to make more bullets for your guns. Sometimes you mostly find them around, but you can also combine gunpowder together to make more bullets. It's just like, I feel like I'd get it for jury rigging bombs together, not for being like, okay, I put a yellow gunpowder and a white gunpowder together, and I've made an acid grenade.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because if you put 2 normal gunpowders together, you make pistol bullets, which use gunpowder. If you combine high-quality gunpowder with regular gunpowder, you produce acid. Yeah. And it's like, what's the science there? Could we not argue that all guns are acidic?
We've got to get a chemist on this, see if they can figure out.
If Gun Guy out there has a chemist friend, get us in touch. Cause
listen, Gun Guy, we got a lot of questions for you. There will be more upcoming in this episode.
Get your notepad out.
So that'll be a heart react and a pinned comment if you if you've got any answers.
We'll pay you handsomely with likes and attention.
I can't pay him with the list money. We barely make anything on these.
Yeah, we make millions off this, Connor. We're rich beyond our wildest dreams. That's why we're here recording in LA.
Yeah, out in LA in our penthouse suite.
In our penthouse suite overlooking the bay.
That's why it's so fucking hot right now, right?
Oh, no.
It's too fucking warm.
It's too hot. Too hot for Resident Evil.
Well, speaking of too hot for Resident Evil, let's talk about...
What are we talking about?
Toad.
It's spooky.
It's a spooky game.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. I am a woman with nerves of steel. Don't check. Don't look at a picture of a ghost.
Don't. I want everyone in the chat. I want everyone in the comments to post a little ASCII art of ghosts into the comments of this video.
Honestly, if you guys start posting comments of ghost stories, I will not be able to sleep. I can't think about ghosts before I go to bed, or I'll be up all night.
You much prefer The Walking Dead over...
I much prefer The Walking Dead because they can be felled quite simply with bullets.
Yeah. We're not talking about the comic, by the way.
No, we're talking about zombambios.
Yeah.
As they're called in France. I don't know, man.
I'd love to see, a French dub of Claire saying, "Look out, a zombambio." That'd be good.
This game is dripping with atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it perhaps is the best atmosphere in the series by my measure, just because of all the lighting and the fog effects, the way rooms are shrouded in dark, gloomy lighting with the fog rolling in. It creates such a mood. And that's so important to a horror game, and it's been something that I feel like a lot of Resident Evil games have kind of lacked because they're kind of more B-movie explosive horror.
Yeah.
Whereas this game goes for a lot more of a lurking dread, which I think is really effective.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see this game pivot into wanting to have a more kind of serious and sort of grounded tone with its storytelling, given that it went from, especially given how campy the originals were.
I played through the original in preparation for this, and that game is not a horror game. That game is a B-movie action game. Every room has 5 zombies in it. There's so much explosions and noise, and it's just not got the same level of lurking creepiness to it.
Yeah, you then compare it with RE4 onwards, and those become very action movie. And
yeah,
I feel like you can blame.
even Resident Evil 3 has more of that tone to it.
Yeah, I feel like you can blame the movies a little bit for that. The Resident Evil movies.
I blame the movies for a lot.
Yeah,
they have crossed me in many ways.
But whereas this one, so much so that it's almost to a little bit of a detriment in a few places, because Resident Evil 4 Leon, it might be my favorite protagonist in any game. He's so good.
He is very good.
He's an absolute dingus. He's so charming.
Yeah.
He comes out with one-liners that aren't even good. They're just funny. They're fantastic at what they do.
But do you think that would have been appropriate for this kind of game?
Well, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not. I just feel like they kind of try to revisit it a little with the RE4 remake, but they still kind of have to do a balanced tone between
They have to turn it down, yeah.
Yeah, for a bit. Whereas here, Leon is still a bit more of a blank slate. I can't say I like him particularly that much in this.
Alright, here's where I deliver my hot take. My blistering hot take of the evening, which is I just think generally, RE4 and maybe some of the more bombastic games excluded, I think Resident Evil characters are boring. I think they are, even in the originals, Chris and Jill and Leon and Claire and all those characters, I don't care about them that much.
You mean you don't care about Forrest?
I care about Forrest.
From Resident Evil 1 with the grenade launcher?
He's not Forrest Kaysen, that's the guy from Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, that's the guy from...
No, I like their designs and I like what they represent, but I don't think they're particular. I wouldn't watch a slice of life anime about them. They're just characters in an action story.
You didn't like Estella from Resident Evil 5?
Yeah, but she's hot. You can see all of her boobs.
Oh, shit.
All of them.
All of them boobs?
All of them.
Not the character you see the most of their boobs, though. Resident Evil 6 has got that topped.
Oh.
That horrible boss.
Oh. Oh no!
Just play that game over it. Yeah,
But like that's the thing. I like listen. I got places to be. I got stuff to do. I'm skipping all these cutscenes. Like I don't care about the story of Resident Evil.
Well,
Like,
I'm soaking it all in. I'm judging this game by these merits as well, and I'm saying, I mean, I don't know.
they're fine.
Yeah, they're fine.
I think Claire's got a fun rapport with Sherry.
I like Claire as a character more than Leon in this game.
Yeah.
I will say there's one part of an interaction I really enjoy. It's closer to the end of the game, which is there's very few times where Claire and Leon really meet each other over the course of this story, but it's right near the end. Sort of Claire introduces Leon to Sherry, like, oh, by the way, this is Sherry. I've been helping her get out of...
Because unlike the original, they don't meet until the very end of the story.
Yeah, she just goes, oh, by the way, this is Sherry. And Leon just kind of goes, okay. he's like politely smiling, like, I don't care. It's bizarre.
Like, babe, I thought we were going to make out after this. There's a girl here.
There's a child here. Like, come on.
Damn it.
Well, listen, I don't believe that. I think Leon took one look at Ada and went, this is my obsession for the rest of my life.
Oh, what a mistake it was. God.
Fucking, I'm jumping in the characters here.
You're too excited to talk about Ada.
I want to talk about everyone. I want to talk about Marvin Brando.
Marvin Branner.
Marvin Branner. Marlon Brando's a fucking actor, sorry.
He is an actor, yeah.
In his mask.
So was the man who played Marlon.
The man who played Marvin was an actor? You mean that wasn't a guy? He wasn't real?
I mean, they do have a model that they scanned in for that guy. So there is a guy out there with Marvin's face.
I thought this all happened.
No.
I thought this was a documentary.
You thought there was a city called Raccoon City?
Well, yeah, they fucking called a place Newcastle.
That's because they built a Newcastle.
Yeah, and they built a city for raccoons.
But did you see a raccoon in that city?
Well, no, I saw a couple like little statues of some bobbleheads like here and there.
Like,
I mean, what state is Raccoon City in? Idaho?
It's in the Midwest.
Yeah, so it's probably like South Dakota.
It gives me like Illinois vibes. Somewhere in that kind of area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just because I can't imagine any of the other Midwestern states having a city in them.
I'm just thinking Rocky Mountains. I'm thinking Colorado. I'm thinking like sort of east side of Washington.
Well, it's not near the Rocky Mountains. It's near the Arklay Mountains.
Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah, that's where the herbs grow.
Is that where they all grow?
That's what they imply in the second game, yeah.
Did it in Resident Evil 4, are they all imported?
That's the implication, yes.
Wow. Damn. I guess that was the big export.
Yeah,
Well,
huge.
Well, that's an amazing environmental detail where there's loads of leaflets around that try to kind of contextualize all the kind of stranger parts of the game. And they even have a tourism leaflet of Raccoon City is actually a really diverse and strange place that has loads of incredible things that you can come and visit. For instance, we have Umbrella here. We have a police station. It used to be a museum, but you can't go to it for that anymore. We have an orphanage.
Wow. Have you lost your parents recently? Well, Raccoon City is the place for you.
It's like, this sucks.
They also have
it's like going to Ipswich.
It is like going to Ipswich, the scourge of the earth, Ipswich. The closest place to hell on this God's planet of ours. They also have a ice cream box at the freezer, I guess.
Yeah.
Where it has herb ice cream.
Can you eat it like that?
No, but the slogan of herb ice cream is herbs, they heal you. That's what it says on the side.
Well, on the one hand, that's great for gameplay. On the other hand, I'd never want to live in whatever fucking place this is.
What do you think the herbs taste like?
Ooh, that's a great question.
It's a dangerous question.
That's a very dangerous question. I feel like the blue ones taste like plastic.
I also fully agree.
Really?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's so right.
I think the red ones kind of taste like...
I bet they taste like nettles.
Yeah?
But when you mix them with green herbs, they add a very nice bitter aftertaste to it. Because they aren't useful unless you have it with a green herb.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
And the green herb mint, surely.
Yeah?
Or like thistle.
I was thinking like cooking herbs, like, you know, when you get
that's probably
a little bit of oregano.
Just imagining like a Resident Evil animation where it's like Claire mixing together all the herbs and then she looks and just eats it.
Yeah. Like, wow. Well, they show that they just kind of pile on the grounded herbs into a bag.
Yeah, and then just snort it, I guess, or
right up. And then
there are some games where it makes a spraying sound.
Yes.
But I'm not sure if they've just done that because of the first aid spray,
Yeah.
or if you're mixing it into a spray that you then spray on yourself. Because are you like rubbing the herbs into your wounds or something? Like,
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact, and it must do like fucking like Popeye magic where it just kind of like grows all the wounds back away. But that's the beauty of video game like healing items
because
anyway.
one of them gives you higher defense, so it's like, oh, I've eaten my blue herb, now I can survive a bullet.
Yeah, I can't be harsh on Resident Evil in this entirety because otherwise it'd be like, oh wow, you pick up a bandage and you suddenly can walk again? That's ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to be like that. Come on.
We should be like that, though. That should be the tenor of our podcast.
That's our weird niche. Is that we're just like, how realistic is...
So Leon gets bit by a zombie like 12 times, and yet he doesn't turn into a zombie?
What?
This is crazy. And obviously the retort would be that every time you're bitten by a zombie, it creates an alternate timeline where you weren't bitten by the zombie.
Oh god, that is what Capcom said.
That's the official lore, yeah. That's the actual story.
So, in canon, every Resident Evil character is just doing a no-hit run.
In canon, they're just playing the perfect race.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I know. Genki Elba is spinning in his grave.
God, no wonder they made those movies like that. The fucking, like, Leon's doing sick flips around. And
I think I deserve answers on why they made the movies like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, tone and atmosphere.
Tone and atmosphere. This is...
I only have one more thing to say about tone and atmosphere, which is that I really like the updated version of the lab at the end of the game.
I love the lab in this game.
Because I'm not sure if you've seen the lab from the original, but it's very drab. It's very dank, and it's kind of like the Resident Evil 1 lab, where it's a lot of small rooms with kind of dark decor.
Yeah.
Whereas the lab in this is like the most modern, like it's like this futuristic, high-tech, like slidey doors and like really harsh metallic lighting and stuff.
Yeah, and they kind of make all those areas feel distinct. Like there's, it's very... I was oddly kind of gripped by just kind of going into the living quarters in the first section where, I mean, like going through the cafeteria, you find that one guy who was sleeping on the job and he fucking died.
Yeah, and there's all the weird bunks that they sleep in.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, you guys live down here? Like,
it looks like the inside of that Star Wars hotel that people got
Oh, yeah, that I watched like a 4-hour video about.
Yeah. And then you go into the plant room where everything's been grown over. There's a great bit where you the door opens and you see like the vines that have grown over it actually put resistance. Open up.
And one of my favorite things that happens there is that when you have to disperse a herbicide to kill the plants, so you can reach a key card, and you're using a borrowed identification bracelet from a member of staff.
Yeah.
So when you leave, this voice plays and it's like, Dr. Lee, you are wanted for authorization of an unneeded material. Please report to probation for your punishment.
Oh my god.
And it's like, oh wow, it's like you're actually in like a modern high-tech lab where they keep track of what everyone's doing with these controlled substances and stuff. It's a cool detail.
Yeah, it's really good. And I'm trying to remember the third section. I think that's just the boss fight, right?
Huh?
The third section of the lab.
You go through this like, you go on this walkway over a bunch of like machines that are doing something or whatever, and you fight Birkin down there.
Yeah,
and at the very end, you go through this really cool corridor where it's like a bunch of like really harsh red lights around the side, and you get like it was like a decompression, or like the air like purifies you, so you don't damage the substances and stuff.
Yeah,
and that's where you get like the vaccine and all that.
Yeah, every Resident Evil game needs to have its lab at some point, and I really like the Resident Evil 2 remakes.
The Resident Evil 2 remake may be the best lab of all time.
Yeah,
it's up there. It's up there.
It's better than Albert Wesker's shitty little hole where he's like, "Look, I grew the perfect man for me, and he's gonna hold me in his big arms, and I'll kiss him on the lips."
Check out this sick picture of me with my boys.
Yeah,
and you can only tell that it's him because he's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, and Chris laughs at him. It's great.
Wesker, you're small time.
But then, even with like the other environments, like honestly, for as much as I slag off the sewer, because I think sewers are really boring environments. I do sort of like the weird kind of like spinny platform that's like part of the big. Like the big bridge.
Oh, where you use the chess piece to bring it down.
Yeah. The chess piece thing's really funny to me because they describe that, like, why is every key a chess piece? It's like, well, because the company that designed this liked playful design in their sewage system.
Because they're wacky guys.
Yeah. Which, admittedly, I do like the puzzle of you having to go... It's that room with the flamethrower / lightning gun. And you having to, get the chess pieces in and out of the slots.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, I don't like playing it because it's really infuriating, but the area that contains the G-Thing's nest is really creepy because it's like you have to like descend this ladder into this like, it's like an alien-esque hive of like horrible like walls they've built using whatever it is they give off, and it's really creepy.
That area I am filled with dread every time I see it for both good and bad reasons.
100%, yeah. Like, the first time I played that game when I went into that, I was just like, oh, this is going to be bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And now every time I go in there, I'm like, this is going to be bad, and I know it's going to be bad.
Yeah. I would also say when it comes to the, what would you call it? When it comes to the kind of like parking lot that's underneath the police station.
Kind of like the second section.
Yeah. There's only really one bit of environmental storytelling I kind of like in that.
Yeah.
But well, actually, it's more your thing. I personally don't care that much for it, but it's more about the dog kennel.
Yeah. So when you're doing one of the differences between the Leon story and the Claire story is the enemy that you encounter in the parking section. When you're playing as Leon, you are attacked by a horde of zombified dogs, the very famous dogs with all the skin ripped off.
Yeah.
And they are at first contained in a bunch of cages in a room that you pass through to get to a more critical area. But in Claire's, you're instead attacked by lickers. But when you go into the room that contains the dog cages, you actually find the corpses of the dogs, implied that the lickers have gone in there and killed them.
Yeah.
Which I think is just neat. I don't know, I just like that.
I mean, it's a cool detail. I've just never been fond of it just because I prefer the enemy variety of having multiple of them, whereas Claire just gets dogs in one transitionary section of the game.
Yeah, which is going to the orphanage, yeah.
Yeah, and
which at least Claire gets the orphanage. That's like a unique location to her entirely.
Oh, no, that's true.
Yeah.
There's like small unique bits with every character.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking like Leon gets to have that weird little plot of that guy getting super owned.
You mean Gunchop Kendo or Ben?
Ben.
Yeah.
Ben, the journalist who's locked in jail, and he's like, hey, listen, I've got the key card you need for your fucking puzzles. I know how this game works. And he's screaming at you, and then suddenly an arm comes through a wall and
just
fucking
crushes his skull.
Crushes him.
It's horrifying.
Wait.
But then Claire gets to go to the chief's office with his tiger statue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he talks and he writes real fucking weird shit about the taxidermies.
Yeah, because he taxidermied that girl.
Yeah.
The mayor's daughter.
The police chief is the character I just don't get at all in this game.
They kind of characterize him more in the original, which we'll get onto when we talk about the story more generally, which is that the police chief in the original is like, he gives all these like villain speeches where he's like, this is my city, and if I have to go down, I'm taking you all down with me. And it like describes how he's been like hiding all the weapons and sabotaging the police officers because he's like bitter about having been betrayed. So he's trying to like screw everyone else basically.
Yeah.
In the remake, he's just like an evil guy and he kidnaps Sherry, and it's just like, he's not that interesting.
No, he just does kind of awful things. And I don't particularly care for him.
He kills that pretty lady.
He kills that pretty lady. He gets his face burnt by acid.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then he gets fucking owned.
He does get really owned, yeah.
This game has a lot of guys getting owned.
So many dudes get owned.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, I think 4 characters survive the events of this game, which is Claire, Leon, Sherry, and Ada.
Yes.
Yeah. All the other characters are killed off.
The only characters you ever play as.
Yeah, that's true. They have the gift.
They do have the gift.
Yeah.
Well, Ash, we've discussed a couple of beloved characters.
Who's your favourite Resident Evil character?
Overall?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I mean, Salazar's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
I thought you'd say Leon.
Well, I mean, yeah, Leon as well. Leon's incredible.
Yeah,
I love Leon.
Good. Yeah, we all love Leon.
He's a beautiful man. I don't know what's his secret to his hair.
And that's one of the beautiful things about the Resident Evil 2 remake, is that we learn his origin story.
Yeah, we learn how he got it all started and how, you know, he goes through a lot of rough stuff in this one. I feel like, you know how they kind of try to contextualize that, like, Chris Redfield getting his butt kicked is the reason why he became super buff in 5?
When does he get his butt kicked?
In the Code Veronica by
Wesker. Yeah,
by Wesker. Yeah. I feel like this game probably gives the context as to why Leon had to like become like the world's coolest dude.
Oh yeah,
because he's getting thrown around left, right, and center in this.
He was like,
game. Never
again.
Yeah, we're not. He doesn't want to put up with this shit anymore. But he's not the only one that's sort of lurking around. We obviously have Claire Redfield as well.
Oh, yeah. These are our 2 principal characters who would go on to be 2 of the most iconic characters in the Resident Evil series.
Yeah.
Like, I feel that despite the fact that Chris and Jill, definitely Chris gets way more screen time these days, for some bizarre reason that no one can guess. I feel like Leon and Claire are the 2 most iconic Resident Evil characters.
Yeah, I reckon so. I mean, to be fair, don't get me wrong. There's a good run of them. I mean, I when I think about like Beret Jill from the first Resident Evil, I feel like definitely. She's kind of up there.
Or like Resident Evil 3 Jill, where she's got the tube skirt.
Yeah, that's true. It's 2 really good looks. I think I just like the Beret look more.
Yeah, definitely. I like it too.
But I think that But Leon and Claire definitely are with like the red biker jacket and the kind of like rookie cop outfit.
Yeah.
So much so that when I play this game, I prefer to put on the classic outfits. I like Leon's old
shoulder pads,
uniform so much more.
Yeah.
It actually led to a really funny moment because we played this for the first time with those on, and there's a big reveal. There's like a big secret in Leon's campaign where he suddenly gets stopped by a mysterious woman in a big trench coat with big sunglasses on. It's like, who's that going to be? It's someone claiming to work for the FBI. Whoa. But when you play it with the classic outfits on, it's so blatantly Ada. She's not wearing sunglasses. She's just in like a red dress. And it's like, who could this woman be?
Wow.
Is it Ada Wong from every Resident Evil game afterwards?
Yeah, and we have a slightly complicated relationship with Ada Wong as well.
Yeah. She's the worst campaign in 6.
I mean, she's the most tolerable that she's ever been here.
Yeah.
She's not doing that everything I say has to be sexy thing that she's doing in Resident Evil 4 or 6, where every line has this kind of sultry tone to it. She sometimes speaks normally here.
Yeah.
Which I'm into.
She gets genuinely frustrated when things won't die.
Yeah,
she's just trying to get things over with. She's put in situations where she's actually kind of vulnerable and she like the incinerator bit.
Yeah, I mean, that was true of the original Resident Evil 2 as well. That was kind of her arc in that. And then when they went later on, they went a bit too far with it. But she is good here. And I think the remake design of her is much more reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, she's still wearing like a really tight dress, but it's not the most like, what are we doing? Like,
yeah, that's true. I kind of like that. I do like a design in the 4 remake too, but
yeah, it's good there too.
Yeah. Less so the performance, but I think that's direction, honestly.
Yeah.
Because some of her lines are fine in the RE4 remake, but a lot of them are not. She does okay here.
Yeah, because it's a different actress, right?
Yeah, well, apparently the RE4 remake actress was in one of the live action films recently.
Great.
So I think that's why she got cast to be in the game. And it's like, I mean, fair enough, but it's just funny because a big gripe I have with this game sort of voice acting is that some of the I'd say 90% of the time the voice acting is absolutely fine for what it's doing, but there's like a small slither of it where it feels like the actors aren't given the proper context as to where the characters are meant to be. Like when Leon and Claire are driving into Raccoon City and like they get to the roadblock and they're like, okay, well, I guess we should get off on foot and we should get around. And suddenly zombies start swarming them. They're way too calm. Like Claire is like, I think we need to run as like the glass are getting broken and Leon's like, that's a good idea. And it's like honestly, even me saying it like that makes it sound too believable as like a response. Like it doesn't sound right. And you get that a little bit in this, but
you do get a little bit of that, like, I don't know if calling it the Marvel sass is the wrong way, but there are a few parts where like Mr. X shows up and they will be like, you gotta be joking. And it's like, okay, that's maybe a bit too sassy for the tone.
Yeah. I don't mind it too much because I think the last Mr. X appearance I can think of with Leon, it's when you've gone through the entire lab and you've gone through just about everything and you're doing the final escape sequence and he shows up around the corner. I feel like he says like, is this a fucking joke? Like he's like angry, like less than sassy. And I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot.
It's quite believable. Less believable is how sometimes when you're shooting zombies, the characters will just go, what the fuck? Or what's going on with you?
Yeah, fucking Leon shooting his 189th zombie and saying, what the, when it doesn't die in one bullet. It's like, come on, Leon.
But do we need the characters yapping during normal shooting? Like,
yeah, it does make me think there's a little bit of that sort of late 2010s game stank a bit in the dialogue where Leon's running through like Raccoon City and he's like, my God, everyone here is dead. And it's like, no.
There might be something strange going on.
It's a whole thing.
They also have that one scene, the one incredibly short and solitary scene where Claire and Leon meet up when you're exploring the police station for the first time, when they talk to each other. Yeah. And they have like no chemistry whatsoever. They have the most just like, oh, you made it. Oh, cool. Good to see you. Well, I'm going to go do puzzles.
Yeah, I think it's Claire being like, I'm just out here. And Leon, while he's inside the police station talking to Claire, who is looking for her police officer brother. Have you found your brother? Like, she's like, she should be like, I was hoping you would have.
Oh, he's back here. I mean, you do get that incredible letter that Chris has written. That like the Umbrella has written to make Claire think that he's gone, where it's like, oh, hey, Claire, I'm just out in Europe bagging scores of babes.
It gives me, do you remember Mass Effect 3, that fucking guy who works for Cerberus?
No.
He's got like a dumb name like Tai or something, and he Kai Leng.
Oh yes, I do remember Kai Leng. Yeah,
he leaves you a letter in the middle of the game, which is supposed to look like it's a serious letter for someone else. He goes, "Oh, good, you picked up and read this. I just want to let you know that I'm gonna kick your butt, and you're such a dum dum." And I feel like it has the same energy as the fake Chris
now
letter.
The world will know that we totally owned you, lamers.
Yes, a fucking Kingdom Hearts house dialogue. It's incredible.
It's wonderful, yeah.
I think the performances of some of the minor characters are kind of fine though. Like I honestly think all the Birkins are fine.
Annette and Sherry.
Annette, William, and Sherry.
William? You mean his line where he goes is good?
He's got a few back what's it called? Flashbacks. I almost called them back shots. That's not what.
There are cutscenes in this game?
Yeah, so you know when like in between those gameplay bits you like sometimes if you put the controller down, it'll the characters will talk to each other.
I just think the game's glitching out when that happens. I'm like, I gotta report this bug to Capcom.
It's a creepypasta, actually. The game's coming alive.
It's been possessed by its own story.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like
I like Annette a lot in the remake. I think she's got this like driven practicality that's undercut by her actual genuine love for her daughter that I think is really not compelling perhaps, but it definitely works for the kind of character that she is. Yeah,
it's almost a shame, and I suppose it is deliberate, but it's almost a shame that experiencing a story where you see a lot of Sherry and then one with a lot of Annette are two different stories. Like, I guess it's to see two different sides of the same coin, but you don't see Annette for much of Claire's route, but you see her a lot more for Leon's when...
Yeah, because in fucking the Claire route, the cool bad guy of that is the police chief, and he's a dingus.
Yeah. And they even fucking kill off the other cool bad guy. They kill off Mr. X in Claire's route.
They do. Mr. X gets, like, fucking owned halfway through, and it's like, but then why is he in Leon's B route? Are these stories meant to be contiguous? Yeah. Did you guys just not think about this at all?
He just got better. He tanked the damage.
I mean, when he gets killed by William in the Claire route, and his face just doesn't change. Like, he's getting, like, cut in half. He's just like, well, this sucks.
I guess if you're a weird, genetically engineered monster...
Yeah, he hasn't got emotions, obviously.
Oh, well, all right.
It's both unsettling and kind of funny, because he's trying to crawl into this elevator that you're trying to escape him from, and then he just gets, like, a massive arm for his chest. He's just like, well... no, is it like no selling it? And it's slightly unsettling.
But can we talk about the man of the hour? Can we talk about Mr. X?
I thought you were going to say Ben.
No, I'm not going to talk about Ben.
There's so much Ben lore to share.
What? Listen, okay, genuinely, we were writing our little sort of like notes for this, and Ash was talking about, oh yeah, the two characters we have to talk about are fucking Gunshop Kendo and Ben. And then she was like, Connor, do you remember Ben? And I had to spend about 2.5 minutes just like
pondering the Ben question,
trying to figure out who the fuck Ben was, because I was like, it's not the guy who gets ripped in half, because that's Elliot.
That's Elliot.
It's not fucking Marvin. It's not fucking Gunshop Kendo, because
his name is Gunshop Kendo.
His name is Gunshop Kendo by birth. He was destined for this job.
He's like Bo from She-Ra.
Yeah, why would you call him that if you don't want him to go around shooting bows?
We can talk about Mr. X, and we can talk about Mr. I didn't know where I was going with that sentence.
We can talk about the Mr. Men and Little Miss.
We talk about the Mr. Men, yeah. Where's Mrs. X, was what I'm saying.
Oh.
Is there a Mrs. X?
Oh.
So Mr. X is a returning feature from the original game with one key difference. So in the original game, when you did the B route, that's when Mr. X would appear. He was meant to be the spice of variety that would be added to the B route to kind of like mess up your understanding of the game's structure and things like that. Which I really liked because it made the B route feel much more unique, I suppose. Like it had its whole entire boss to itself.
Yeah, we'll talk about the B routes in a bit.
Yeah. Whereas in the remake of the game, which we are talking about in this podcast that we are making, Mr. X is in the game no matter what you're playing, or no matter what character you're playing, you will always be chased by Mr. X throughout not throughout the entire game, but throughout the police action parts of the game.
I mean, he was a big thing people were talking about when this remake came out.
He's kind of like a big... I guess it's kind of like not Mother Miranda, like Lady Dimitrescu or Jack Baker from RE7. He's like the villain that you can put all the villain energy into, where he kind of encapsulates a lot of that game's energy, or its kind of villainous side, I suppose.
Yeah. In many ways, you know, I feel bad for Nemesis.
We all feel bad for Nemesis.
Because he got done dirty in the following year's remake of 3, but
He just can't even swim.
He can't even fucking swim.
Yeah.
I bet you Mr. X would have been like Seymour Skinner. He would have gone underneath that fucking river.
All right, well, now we're standing at the precipice of another Ash rant. Because Mr. X's purpose is that he is a unkillable pursuer, much in the style of Clock Tower 3, some might say.
Oh ho ho.
Whose entire point is to mess up your carefully orchestrated plan around the mansion, or the police station. Because he can't be killed. He searches the mansion. No,
you keep calling it the mansion.
It's really late. We spent too long talking about nothing. He spends all of his time pursuing you throughout the police station, where he will be checking rooms, he'll respond to loud sounds, and if he finds you, he'll chase you down until you go to a safe room, because he can't go into safe rooms, but he also can't go into a selection of puzzle rooms throughout the game. So for instance, he can't go into the STARS office on the second floor of the west side, he can't go into the clock tower puzzle room. There are many rooms he just can't enter because it would be too annoying.
Yeah, the dark room as well.
Well, that's a safe room.
Yeah.
So safe rooms, some puzzle rooms, basically. And because of that, he's not really that effective. Because if you know your way around the police station, which I do, you just know what paths to take, where you can solve a puzzle and then stop off at a safe room, wait for him to leave, and then that's it. You've resolved the Mr. X problem.
I suppose I will counter-argue with this as someone that's a little bit more of a casual player, especially of this game, which is that when you are at a point where you are able to speedrun a game and solve it, when you are able to cut through the RNG and the kind of like mystery of what each of these puzzles are, surely this is going to happen in any game.
Yeah, but I guess my retort at that point would be, I wouldn't say this happens like playthrough 20 for me. This is like halfway through playthrough 1.
Oh, yeah.
Where I realized that you could juke his AI really easily and just get around him without him being a real threat.
I would say good on you, because I played this. I'm on my third playthrough when we were recording this, and I still get my ass kicked by him.
That's fair. That's something for me to consider, though. Although that is leading to the counter argument, which I hear about this game, is that lots of people really just don't like Mr. X because they think he just makes the game irritating.
Well, sure, but I really like him.
Yeah.
I think I like him as a disruptive force. He's an oh fuck moment where I have to panic, I have to regroup and figure out what the hell I'm doing next.
Do you know that sometimes if he knows you're coming, he will hide behind doors?
Will he?
Yeah, and then he'll, as you walk through them, he'll just punch you.
That's really funny.
I'll send you a clip where it's someone from Giant Bomb playing the game and they're just running along and they go through a door and there's something in black as they go through it. It's really great.
I like that a lot.
I think this is cool as well.
Yeah,
like I like his design in the remake where he's wearing that trench coat and the hat.
Yeah,
like he's like a hardball detective.
Yeah, it's a huge glow up compared to the original version. And
although in the original he gets like airdropped into the police station. And there's like a helicopter that's just carrying him without in any.
What?
Yeah, he's not in like a box or anything. He's just being drooped along by a helicopter.
Some fucking dinguses at Umbrella were just flying a big helicopter over, like, well, where are we gonna drop off, Mr. X?
Yeah, and like he just drops through the roof, standing up, like, well, time to chase down the people.
Oh, dude, the U.S. president, the U.S. military has deployed Mr. X. Oh shit. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a really good addition to the formula because, as you say, he does disrupt playthroughs. Like, even at the best of times, if you're not paying attention, he can really fuck you up if he catches you in a bad spot. And you kind of need that to keep the game feeling fresh.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because other than that, like, you've got unpredictable zombie AI, I suppose.
Yeah, the lickers can be a problem. Sometimes you forget to bring the crank to the right room, and that's really annoying, but that maybe is just on me.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, he's much needed spice.
Yeah, and I like the pressure he puts on things like the library puzzle, trying to get those damn bookcases lined up for the gap that his characters could definitely jump across.
I remember having a playthrough where I was trying to do that as quickly as possible. So what I would do is I would just lead Mr. X on a wild goose chase around the bookshelf.
Yeah,
and he would forget that I was there. And then I would move one of the bookshelves, he would find me again, and I would just run around again. And he kept being like, well, I guess she's gone. Wait a minute. I hear books. Hold up. Is someone learning over there?
Someone's going to take a book out and never return it to the library.
They must pay with their blood.
I like to think that if you put Mr. X in any job environment, he would be that persistent.
He would be, yeah.
He'd be at a fast food restaurant and he'd be marching up with a tray full of food to serve, but he would be barging through other tables to go and give it to you.
Yeah. He'd have the Resident Evil 2 podcast finished by now.
Hey now. So, what do we think about Ben? No one has anything to say about Ben.
I think he's better in the original.
He's in the original?
Yeah, you talk to him several times in the original.
Oh.
He doesn't get immediately owned by Mr. X.
Okay. It was like a weird...
It's really silly because he doesn't get killed by Mr. X in the original. He gets killed by Birkin.
Oh, okay.
Is in his cell somehow. It never really explains how he's in there.
Yeah.
And he swipes at him, but he doesn't kill him. And you're like, I have to go back and help Ben. And you go to Ben, and he somehow crawled out of his cell and is propped up against the wall, and he's like, damn, this sucks. And then goes, bleh.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
damn.
It's fucking stupid.
Oh, I'm not left with much to work with from the remake, obviously.
No, the remake really treats some of the side characters like with so much less importance. Like, they just kind of appear once and then immediately die.
I mean, I suppose if I'll throw a bone in a couple directions, I think I do I do appreciate what they were doing with the Birkins, with William having his life's work just being thrown away.
Yeah,
admittedly, he's made a terrible life's work.
Yeah, his life's work is inventing the mega nuke.
Yeah,
the nuke that flies.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah,
the nuke that flies.
No, sorry, it's from a Game of Thrones video I watched where it's like they're talking about how they kill off Daenerys at the end. It's because it's okay because she's superhero, the Hitler, the flies.
The nuke that flies. That's a missile, love.
That isn't flying. It's falling with style.
God. That's not a sequence I want to be imagining.
No.
But yeah, it's kind of understandable why he did such rash actions that he did. But in terms of sort of more negative aspects of it, I mean, I don't know how controversial this is to say, but Gunshop Kendo in this is not great.
He's so good in the original. He shows up in the second screen of the game, and he's got this voice where he's like, "Oh, I thought you were one of them."
He doesn't he have a crossbow?
He has a crossbow. Yeah, he does have a crossbow.
which either means that
we forgot to talk about weapons.
Oh no, we'll get to that.
Okay, good.
Which means that either A.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Which means that either A. He's the smartest person in the apocalypse because he's like, okay, I know guns will run out of bullets, but a crossbow, at least I can do some work with this.
Yeah.
Or B, he's a dude that looked at his big rack of guns and was like, yeah, my crossbow's gonna do it.
I mean, in the original, you walk into a shop to escape the first onslaught of zombies, and he tries to shoot with his crossbow, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, babe, I thought you were one of them." And then they just stop talking. And then Claire just walks further into the screen, and then he's immediately eaten by a massive horde of zombies, and that's the end of Gunshop Kendo.
But I love that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He's a weird sort of dumb character that I find funny. Whereas in this one, they've tried to make him a serious character with the whole
his daughter's been infected, and it's it's so tedious.
And I get it. I get what they're trying to do. It probably did move some people, but for me, I just think I liked the B-movie camp.
Yeah, I guess I just don't come to Resident Evil for that kind of storytelling.
No.
It's not where I expect to see that kind of drama.
A lot of effort gets put into this game to try and make it more sort of melodramatic, and it's not what I enjoy about it.
No.
I like the emphasis on atmosphere, but less of the emphasis on drama.
100%, yeah.
When it comes to that kind of thing. Speaking of adversaries and weapons, maybe we should go into those aspects of the game.
Okay, I think enemies would be quite quick, really, because it's just zombies, it's dogs, it's lickers, it's the plant abominations from the lab, which are kind of annoying if you're not prepared. If you have any weapon that does flame damage, you've kind of got that made, because the whole gimmick is that they're these plants in the shape of humans.
Yeah.
And they have these little orange nodes on them, and if you shoot all the nodes, they'll go down. But if you don't burn the corpses, they will eventually resurrect and come back up.
Yeah, which just kind of meant that when I eventually got the flamethrower and the fire grenades, it was just a case of, cool, so I'm going to use these solely for this one enemy type.
Yeah.
And
they're really frustrating because they have a one shot. If they grab you and you haven't got a defensive item, they kill you in one hit, no matter how much health you have.
That's quite the spike.
Yeah.
I guess you got to diversify the enemy sort of effect on the sandbox.
And the lab is for real, bro.
Oh, I guess so, yeah, when you think about it.
And they have a real perch-in for, dropping them behind you. And it's just oh, great, I didn't have a grenade, so I'm fucked, and that's my run over. It's kind of infuriating.
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't even get Resident Evil 4's flame grenades.
You don't, which they took out of the remake, which is why I hate that remake with more passion than anything.
Oh, yeah, right. There isn't any, is there?
No, yeah, they have flash and normal, but not incendiary grenades.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I was always sad about, but that's not what we're talking about. So
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then there's Lickers. Lickers are annoying. Although there is a weird thing with them where they can move faster if you don't see them.
Yeah, it's a very unusual
Yeah.
dynamic of them. Of like, okay, so I have to keep looking at you in order to have a bit
I
of
think
a
it's just
chance.
because when you're not looking at them, they teleport. They legitimately don't move with actual speed. They just teleport behind you.
Well, I think in terms of programming, yeah, it's just a very odd quirk to make them work.
Because
Like
I don't think they intended for it to be that way. But if you are looking at them, they can't teleport, so they move slower.
I mean, I'll say that's good for scare factor. It's this thing of bugger me. I didn't think you'd move that quick.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think you were briefly talking about how you don't find this game that scary. I think that from a gameplay perspective, Mr. X popping out when you don't expect him to, and then enemies getting the jump on you and that kind of thing, those moments are scary because you're on the back foot and you're like, oh fuck, oh god, oh Jesus, I'm gonna die. Like, that's good for that. I feel like that's when you make a game scary, is with actual dynamic systems rather than scripted ones. But
I guess, like, I find that tense, not scary.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I
There's
mean,
like a nuance between the two emotions for me.
maybe so.
Yeah.
I'm autistic. I can't process emotions properly.
That's true. That's what I'm always saying about you.
How did I become an actor? I don't know. I act all the time, I guess. I'm always trying to figure out how I'm supposed to feel.
Damn.
I think that might legitimately be a thing.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, listeners. Next time will be Ash's second trans tangent.
True.
We're talking about Halo 2.
Your trans awakening with Halo 2.
Oh, yeah. I saw those horrible lizard aliens and I was like, damn. I want to have boobs.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's too late for this.
It's too late for this. Are you sure you don't want to pause them?
No, we must finish Resident Evil 2.
All right.
I have to finish these games quickly. That's my gimmick.
No.
So let's talk about the bosses.
Yeah, because obviously you've got the different forms of Birkin.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are only two bosses, technically. Because they're either mutations of Birkin or they're mutations of Mr. X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I would say that I feel like when it comes to the Birkin side of things, because I feel like the third form of Birkin feels like a climactic enough fight that I feel like that's done, and I'm pretty happy with it.
What I quite like about Birkin's transformations is that obviously it's using his human body as a base, but as he becomes further and further mutated, it becomes like vestigial. And like there's like a monster being formed around his body rather than using his body.
Yeah.
Like you can see like parts of his original form hanging off where is no longer the actual head because a new head is formed, basically.
Yeah, it's a really cool detail. Like, you get to Form 2 where it looks... It's basically sprouting what's going to be the new head as it's kind of writhing inside of the mass.
Like, Form 1 is just him, but he's got a really big evil arm.
Yeah, pretty much. He's trying to hit you with a pipe.
He's trying to hit you with a pipe, but he still talks. He's like going, nah. Yeah, he's making actual human vocalizations.
Yeah, and probably like it's a fairly straightforward fight of hit the weak point and just try to like unload damage onto him. Whereas Form 2, I think you can try and beat him like that, but the big gimmick of that is trying to get him to get hit by that dumb crate.
Yeah, he's got those big eyes that is so iconic for Resident Evil, and when you shoot them, he like stumbles over, and then you have to make a crate hit into him. Which I think is silly.
But then Form 3 is a lot more of a de facto, like, yep, just you fight him. He's big.
He's more animalistic.
Yeah.
Like, he does big lunges at you, and he jumps on all fours and stuff like that.
And the thing is that feels so climactic when you're considering the context of the story and everything. Yeah. It feels like a really good kind of endpoint of we finally put an end to Birkin. And when you're playing Leon's campaign, that's the last you see of him.
Yeah.
But if you play Claire's, he's got a fourth form.
And if you do the B route, he's got a fifth form.
He's got a fifth form.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And am I lame to say I don't like it when they push these things too hard?
Oh no, it becomes irritating to have to fight the same guy so many times.
Like, I feel like you put, like, okay, you write down on paper, okay, your final boss is you fight the final version of Birkin with a minigun and you fucking unload 1,000,000 bullets into him. And it's like, oh, that sounds sick, but I fucking hate that. I find it so boring as a fight.
Yeah.
I think it's really tedious.
Like in Resident Evil 1, it's like, oh, you fight a big shark and a big spider and a big snake, and then you fight the tyrant, and that's cool.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, it's William's back.
Oh,
Great.
it's like when we already had the catharsis of that end. It's
exactly.
like, it's here again.
And it's like,
then
well, when you learn the lesson, old man.
Yeah, and then with the B root, it's then again.
Yeah.
And it's like, that one isn't even fun. It's just like, oh, there's an eye.
Yeah, shoot him for a minute and then he dies.
Yeah.
And it's also like when you finish the A route, you don't get like the true ending, quote unquote, but it ends with like a tease of the back of the train being like, what's behind the train?
Yeah.
Play the B route to find out. And it's like, what was back there? It's William.
And he's still
hanging
there.
out.
Because at that point, it makes me think, well, then there's no tension. I feel like even if we blow him to hell and high water, he's just going to be back.
Yeah, I guess the idea is that like it's trying to get across the power of the G virus and how it's like the perfect killing machine.
Yeah.
But when you're playing a video game and you're trying to have a satisfying story, it's just like, I don't care. Go away, William.
It's also just such a discordant thing because they make such a big importance of the T-virus zombies are everywhere, and that's where most of the monsters are. And it's like, what's William affected by? An unrelated virus that he was working on in his own time.
The G virus.
The G virus.
Which stands for the Goliath virus, I think.
Oh, okay.
And then T is Tyrant virus.
I see.
I think that's what it is.
Oh, fair enough. I guess I always assumed those names were just random.
Yeah,
I didn't realize they had a meaning.
It's the Tyrant virus. Because the whole thing with the T virus is that it's not meant to make zombies.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a byproduct that they did by accident. And they were like, whoopsie.
That's pretty good.
We were trying to make a big guy, but now we have a bunch of zombies.
Oh, shit. All right, well.
Yeah.
Now we have to deal with these.
All right.
Oh, God. Well, speaking of the Tyrant, the Mr. X boss, if you get in the Leon route instead.
Yeah.
Like, at that point in the game, I kind of did wish I had a dodge button. Because he has, like, big instant kill attacks, but...
He does have big instant kill attacks where you have to dodge them because, like, piles of, like, debris keep falling down. You have to stand behind them.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like... It's weird to say it feels video gamey, but it does.
It feels like a bad Crash Bandicoot boss.
I was going to say it does feel like a Crash Bandicoot boss. But it's cool. I mean, he's got this big glowing heart that's, like, ripping out of his chest.
Yeah.
And, like... And it's pretty rad.
And to me, that feels a lot more cathartic than Birkin killing Mr. X, which I get it. It's to show that Birkin's technically protecting Sherry, but I much prefer
he's
that.
got to protect her so he can impregnate her.
Oh.
That's how they say it in the original.
Really?
Like, Annette's like, he has to implant her with his embryo.
Oh, God, what's this fucking haunting ground shit?
Hell yeah.
Oh, no. But
Resident Evil 2 walked so haunting ground could run.
Game of the year 2005. But I prefer this idea. If you're going to have this looming threat across the entire game, giving him the role of the final boss, and he even gets to get blown up with a big missile.
Yeah, exactly.
That feels like an ending to me.
That's the thing, because Mr. X has actually been chasing you through the entire game, like in terms of actual gameplay sections. He's not got his own cordoned off boss fights. He's just chasing you.
Yeah.
So the fact that you get to just turn around and then blow him the fuck up, that's much more cathartic than Williams fucking around again.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't mind me briefly tangenting into this, because I want to think a little bit about like comparing Leon's and Claire's route overall.
Yeah.
And I think they both have strengths. I might be a little controversial in my feelings on this one, but I honestly do think that when I consider the weapons that they have at their disposal and the bosses they fight and the themes and the environment characters and that kind of thing, I'd say overall I prefer Leon's.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do think that there's some feathers in Claire's cap I actually do prefer. Like, honestly, I actually prefer Sherry's segment over Ada's.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I like Claire's section more than Leon's.
Yeah.
Like, I like the Mr. X fight conceptually, but I find the William fight more interesting, or more fun, basically. And there are a few nuances about the path that you take through the police station in Claire's that I prefer.
Yeah, you were showing me some of those a little bit earlier, and I do appreciate that because it makes the repeated playthroughs a lot more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I like the journey to the orphanage to rescue Sherry more than I like you're in gun job kendo shop with Ada.
Oh no, I hate that bit. Yeah. No, I'll completely agree with that. I prefer that orphanage over any of the sewer shit. Like including the crocodile. It's just like a quick time event, basically.
Yeah, although to be fair, the crocodile in the original is that, but you just have to run away from it and then shoot it once and it blows up.
True.
Like it's still not like a real boss fight.
Oh, I know you mentioned it real briefly, but I've got to say it outright myself. Rest in peace, spiders.
Yeah, they didn't bring back spiders. I don't know why.
They replaced them with the G things.
I think they were saying that like they couldn't make them scary. And it's like, it's giant realistic spiders.
It's a fucking spider.
People don't like spider.
You will make that I'd believe them more if they said it would be too scary.
Yeah, right?
You know?
Yeah.
If they were like, no, people get freaked out by spiders. Like, yeah, no wonder so many monsters get based off spiders,
Yeah,
you know?
and I just think the G things are lame.
Yeah.
Those big writhing masses with big eyes, and it's like they're meant to be like offspring from William, and it's like I don't want to have more William in this game.
Yeah, I don't think they're cathartic and to kill either.
They're just irritating. Like that's why I hate the sewer so much, because the G things are so irritating to fight.
Yeah. They probably thought it was too campy.
Well, then they should have resigned.
They should have not made a Resident Evil game.
Yeah, like if you think Spiders is campy doing Resident Evil, why are you making Resident Evil?
I think they course corrected with 4. The 4 remake.
Also, the last game that would have come out was 7, when you have a chainsaw fight with a crazy southern guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is too campy now? Like,
so what are we making at the moment? Village?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the most serious game ever made, when you have your Metal Gear mech metal fight.
I mean, shall we kind of, before we get to our sort of like closer sort of feelings and talking about Route B, should we acknowledge the weapons?
There are guns, you shoot them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the fact that Leon and Claire get different weapons in their arsenal.
Yeah. So
it's a pretty big thing that affects your preference of each route, I think.
Yeah. And that's why. Well, that's one of the things I most dislike about Claire's campaign is you get the fucking spark shot. I hate that fucking thing. It's lame. It's terrible.
Another weapon I like conceptually, but when I think about it, it's like, what did I like using for the spark shot? It got rid of G things pretty good.
Yeah. It's just the fact that you have to, like, you shoot it and then hold the bullet into them for, like, 10 seconds. It just kind of breaks the pace. You're just like, oh, here I am, holding the spark shot.
I will contrast this with the Spartan laser. Another hey, listen, no, hear me out. I see you putting your head in your hands.
Lay it on me. Tell me about the Spartan laser.
When you use the Spartan laser in Halo 3 and Reach, if you're holding down that trigger to charge up the weapon, it's before the final blow.
Yeah, it's cathartic because it's a skill thing, because you've managed to track someone well enough that you can shoot them with a really slow firing gun.
Yeah.
Whereas the spark shot, you shoot it at someone normally and then you have to hold it for a bit, and it's just like, okay, there's no skill there.
I've already done it.
Yeah.
So
here we are.
So I'd say the flamethrower takes the cake over that. I just wish you got more ammo for it. I wish you got that with every game, honestly. More ammo for your flamethrower would make you want to use it more.
Well, I remember seeing your notes for this, and one of the things you wrote was, let me have fun, Ash.
Yeah.
Because I would get very upset with you if you ever use any of the fun guns.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, is that obviously ammo conservation is a huge part of this. So as a result, if you can use handguns against zombies, you should be using handguns against zombies. But I want to blow a zombie's head off with a shotgun.
Oh, yeah, and my position isn't even defendable because I get to the end of those games and have, like, so much ammo for the shotgun and grenade launcher where it's like, I could have used it, but I'm like, no, it's not efficient.
Yeah, no, I get you there, but
I'm just so, like, trained like a dog to be like, I have to use my resources so carefully, even though it's not actually needed at all.
Well, I think there's 1 or 2 times where I do find that if I'm just tired of a zombie just being in the way, I'm just like, right, Desert Eagle, your head is gone and so are you forever. You're out. But other than that, like, I get why, because the Desert Eagle basically being your Magnum equivalent means it's your boss gun.
Yeah, I kind of, when you said use a Desert Eagle on a regular zombie, I legitimately was like, no. It made my heart hurt. I was like, you can't do that.
I've done it and I've beaten that game.
No.
I made it.
Then why have I lived my life this way? I only use the Magnum in any Resident Evil game exclusively for the final boss. And if I ever fire it before then, I'm just like, actually stressed. I'm just like, oh no, God.
You see, I'm more loosey-goosey. I gotta live on the wild side. I gotta, like, listen. To be fair, I'll get it. You know, the shotgun and grenade launcher's way better for dealing with lickers. You know, you save it for that. That makes a ton more sense. But
I can be convinced to use the shotgun on regular zombies. That's the line I will cross, but no further.
Well, one scenario that I've done that you, as far as I understand, you haven't, is I have played the Fourth Survivor route.
I tried to play the Fourth Survivor, but this is not why I play those games.
Well, this is where my playstyle worked out, because in that, you've got so little ammo that it's like, right, I will have to use this shotgun to deal with these things in my way right now. So,
I mean, have you played the Ghost Survivors?
Oh, no, but I don't.
But you can play as the mayor's daughter.
The one that gets dissected?
Well, the whole point of the Ghost Survivors is that you're playing as characters who die, and then you play like an alternate timeline where they survive.
Oh.
So it's like her, it's Gunshop Kendo, one of the agents who fights Birkin.
Yeah.
And then the last one gets on my nerves because it's the sheriff who dies at the start of the game at the petrol station. And they imply with that one that he replaces Claire and becomes the new Claire.
What?
And it's like, what is this? Okay, replace the one female main character with a guy who's boring and lame. Great, thanks.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I haven't got many. I've already said I don't care about Kendo in this game. I don't care about fucking. Listen, I think Hunk as a concept is funny.
Yeah, because then we can talk about Lady Hunk.
Then we can talk about Lady Hunk,
Yeah.
because why did that happen?
You gotta sell DLC for Revelations. It's the only character we can do, along with Rachel Ooze form.
What?
Yeah, it's Rachel, but she's oozy.
Is that the character from 6?
No, it's a character from Revelations who's wearing a diving suit, but she's got it unzipped so you can see her boobs. And she has this long wavy blonde hair that covers all of her eyes.
Okay.
And then she becomes an ooze monster that you have to fight, but then you can play as Ooze Rachel if you buy the DLC.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
I get to play my ooze games.
This game's oozing with charm.
At least that's unique.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
There you go, that's fun. It's for raid mode.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I don't think I have any of the DLC for this game. Not Ghost Survivors.
No. Ghost Survivors is free.
Is it?
Yeah, Ghost Survivors came out at no additional cost.
What the fuck am I doing here? I've got to be Gun Shop Kendo.
You've got to be Mayor's daughter.
Oh, Mayor's daughter.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But, yeah, I think in terms of weapon arsenal, I think that's also a big reason why I have my preference to Leon's campaign.
The shotgun's way better than the grenade launcher, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
The SMG grew on me.
Yeah, it's good for G-Things.
Yeah,
and in some boss fights.
I was finding it was quite good at just sort of keeping things like the dogs away for a little bit, where I'm like, get out of here, and also shredding legs.
Yeah, shredding legs is great.
But other than that,
You would say that, you TMP fan. You TMP simp.
Hey now.
No, we can't open up these old wounds. This is season 2, damn it.
But I mean, other than that, like, a Magnum is just so much more cathartic, and as a result, I really like the Desert Eagle.
Yeah, and like Resident Evil games have to have Magnum at the end. The fact that they deny that to Claire is an outrage.
I kind of forgot that Claire gets a regular handgun on top of her revolver.
She does, the GMB-11.
Yeah. Which it's good because the revolver kind of becomes your Magnum.
It does, you can fire high caliber rounds.
Which, how does that work? We put a bigger barrel on it, it can take a bigger pistol round. Like, get to it, please.
Gunman.
Extra credit.
Gun shop comment man.
Gun shop comment man, that's a great name. Yeah. We could compare the B route just briefly, and...
Yeah, so I kind of fucking hate the B route.
I hate the B route.
I think it's just the laziest design where it's like, what if there were more zombies rather than less? And it's like, their only real trick is to just have like a zombie in areas where you have to fight more powerful enemies to just mess up your strategy, basically. Like when you fight the G-Things, there's zombies down there. And it's just like, that's not fun. It's just irritating. And I think they could have done more work to make them different from one another, because the A route and the B route are basically identical apart from a few slight changes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, what was even the point then? Like, the original had so much more going on. Like, there was stuff in the original where you would get certain items that you would get to an area and it'd be like, oh, there's a weapon here or a item pack to expand your inventory space. You can only take one. The other one is for your B route.
Yeah.
And like, you had to like solve like puzzles together and stuff. And it was way more, I don't know, thought out, I felt.
Yeah, whereas this is just kind of, okay, so you start with a different starting gun that has higher caliber rounds, which means I guess they do a little bit more damage, but it means you have to micromanage more pistol rounds.
Yeah, because you don't pick up normal ammo in the B route.
Yeah.
You only get normal pistol ammo from making it from gunpowder.
Yeah.
So it's like I have way less pistol ammo to deal with like way more zombies, and it just becomes a exercise in tedium.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to give me more variety in the weapons and that kind of thing, I don't want more pistols. I want more power weapons.
Yeah.
Like, I want more opportunities to shoot a shotgun than a pistol. I'm very Resident Evil 4 brained in that way.
I think they just did the B route because it was Resident Evil 2. It had to have a B route.
Yeah.
But it seems to have been like a slight afterthought, which is a real shame, because the B route was cool in the original, and here it's just kind of like a chore, basically.
Yeah, I didn't particularly care for it, and the secret ending, the final true ending you get, it's like, all right, I feel like I would have gotten that context just fine from the regular ending.
And it's like, in the original, when you do the B route, you get the fucking cool ending where you see they actually escape, and then they're like, it's up to us to take out Umbrella, and it plays a sick guitar song. Yeah. There's no such joy in the remake. It's just the two characters are like, we did it. Wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's another thing, is Resident Evil 2's original soundtrack. Ooh.
Banger. Yeah.
Great little bits and pieces of music in there. Resident Evil 2's remake soundtracks. What soundtrack?
Well, don't worry, Connor, because you have the privilege of paying £2.49 to get the original soundtrack.
At that point, I'll just stream it through YouTube, honestly.
A piece of DLC I have bought 3 separate times.
Oh, you poor sweet summer child.
Yeah.
What have you been doing, Ash?
I love buying copies of Resident Evil games.
This is like your 3rd Steam account.
No, leave me alone. Don't expose me live on stream.
Oh my god.
I love to support the agency, Connor. I'm not sure if you do.
You love Gabe Newell.
I love Gabe Newell. I want him to have many knives.
He's on his way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's got more knives than you'll get in this entire game.
Yeah, he'll never get grabbed.
He will never get grabbed, honestly. He's ready.
Yeah, he's so ready.
When I mean, maybe Raccoon City's just Seattle.
Oh, no. It's not the Midwest.
It's definitely not.
You fool.
I'm just picturing an alternate timeline where Gabe Newell survived the events of Raccoon City and he went out west to go and make a Half-Life 1.
He has to tell his story.
Because it was 98. He'll never forget it. Ash.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm checking our notes.
What's up?
It seems like that you have an infetid and impromptu comparison to the original to make about this game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how interesting this is going to be, but in preparation for this, I did decide to do some playthroughs of the original, just so I would have points of comparison. And my conclusions, I think, aren't what I was expecting, which is that I actually think the story in the original is better told.
Oh, yeah.
I think because it's actually the first time they were telling that story, and it was connecting to the overarching Resident Evil plot that was unfolding at the time, they seemed more interested in it. Like, the remake doesn't seem to care too much about the story. Like, it cuts out a lot of the cutscenes I think are interesting. I don't think it tells the story of Annette, William, Ada, or Mr. X as well as it does in the original.
Yeah.
Like, several characters have more scenes in the original than they do in the remake, and it's just like, I felt more engaged by the events of the story than I do in the in the remake. So I just skip all the cutscenes in the remake. The original, I was actually watching them; they were kind of compelling.
Fair enough.
I also feel that the sections where you play as Sherry and Ada, which we haven't touched on actually, what might be good to talk about those, are better in the original, and there's more of them. There's 2 per character in the original, where it's not that you're doing like weird gimmick stuff. Like with Sherry, you're just like walking around the levels as Sherry trying to dodge zombies, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And
then as Ada, you're like chasing down Annette and doing the stuff that I think is less annoying than having to scan things with your little hacker device.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely get you there. The Ada and Sherry bits, like, they're not amazing in the remake.
No.
But I think I do prefer the tension of having to hide from cheap irons a lot more than, okay, well, I gotta follow this line.
Oh.
And it's, okay, so I've got, like, 12 bullets and I have to run away from, like, 15 zombies down here.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, Mr. X
you get an
okay.
achievement for doing that without firing a gun.
Oh.
And it's infuriating. I hate it. It was so annoying to get.
I bet.
Because the one for Sherry's is escaping the bedroom within 60 seconds. And that's fine. That's kind of fun. That's like a fun challenge, but...
Yeah, it's just doing those little block puzzles and things, which is also fun. It's fun to see Sherry kind of ingenuity, like, oh, cool, I've hidden a scissor here and I can cut through this thing. And, like, you know, it's that fun kind of puzzle-solving thing that I do like out of the Resident Evil games. But... Whereas Ada's, it's like the puzzle is you just gotta find a big line in the sand.
Watch out for Mr. X, he's coming.
Oh no, don't shoot his head off, he's gonna run real fast at you.
Oh no.
Look out, Ada, he's bald.
Oh god.
But yeah, I don't know, that's fair. I don't have a frame of reference because I've not played the RE2 originals, but it's interesting. And it's interesting to hear that, and it's a huge shame that Leon and Claire sound like they had more chemistry in the game where they were like pixelated.
They meet up way more. They meet up actually in person several times throughout the story. They're always calling each other. They're always giving each other like progress reports. Like at the end of the original, it's not it's not Claire who saves Sherry. It's Leon who saves Sherry because Claire's too busy fighting William, basically. And their stories intertwine much more organically than they do in the remake. Like in the remake, when they're together at the end, it doesn't seem like they should even be talking to each other because they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Whereas in the original, they feel like they actually develop a relationship over time.
Yeah, there's just more moments where they're just like, oh, hey, you know, the final area is about to blow up. Oh, hey, Leon, how you doing?
I'm great, you know.
I'll meet you at the train.
I will say, though, in the original, the sewer and the lab are much worse.
Oh, yeah?
They're much shorter. Like, the sewer is, probably 20 minutes of just going through and fighting some spiders and then finding a net and stuff. And then the lab is way less, grandiose and imposing. And there's also a weird section at the end of the B route where you have to get the train turned on to leave. You have to do like 4 different things of like rerouting power and opening the train doors, and it's just really like, why are we interrupting the pace for this weird train section?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it sounds to me like there's actual like trade-offs and things that this remake has actually done better.
Yeah,
than the
100%.
OG.
I mean, I like the remake more than the original, but there are definitely things. I was surprised how much of the original I did wish they had done better in the remake.
Yeah.
Like, mostly the stuff about the B route. I thought the B route in the original was way better. Like, there's like a thing where you can find an electric cord and it will shut some windows, basically. And then when you go into the B route, the one you have to choose between 2 sets of windows, basically. When you do the B route, they're locked in there still because you chose that one in the first route, basically.
Yeah.
And there's much more interaction there that I think is more impressive.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's quite impressive. What the fuck am I going to say? I had
talk about game flow, if you like.
Game flow?
Yeah. Because what I wanted to say about the Resident Evil 2 remake, and one of the reasons why this game is so easily replayed for me, because I would say that at this point, I replay the 2 remake more than I replay the 1 remake or 4. And the reason for that is because of how modern 4... I'm doing so bad today. Of how modern the 2 remake is. Once you start, and because of the fact that there's no like door loading animations like there are in the original, you just go. And you get this flow and this momentum where I can just start doing it and then like be done and then not realize hours have passed because I've just been so engrossed in the experience. It's so natural. It's so smooth, basically. There's no interruptions to the way you feel. I just get like lost in the experience, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good bonus to this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me because from what I understand, the 1 remake is your favorite Resident Evil game.
I might be changing my mind.
Really?
Yeah, I think 2 is close to overtaking it. I have to play 1 a bit more to solidify it, but it's because like I was playing 2 and I finished it 4 times for this podcast and it doesn't show.
Yeah, well...
but like I was just so ready to play this game 4 times because it just flows so naturally. And when we were doing it today, when I was playing it, and I was just getting so into it so immediately.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because obviously we haven't said entirely glowing, unanimously positive things about this game. That we've had our own sort of like criticisms of it, but it's interesting to hear you say that this might be one of your favorites, if not the favorite now, because because it clearly shows that you love a game enough to point out where its flaws are, but you can really appreciate what you love about it.
Oh, I mean, I would say that like I could deeply criticize every game on my favorite games list.
I could too. Yeah. I feel like a lot of my favorite games are technically 7 out of 10s.
Yeah.
But they're my favorites.
I think for me, the big thing is that I'm like, dude, Final Fantasy XIV is like the best thing ever made. You just have to play through like hours of slog to get to the good parts, but it's so good.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, you've put down some words here to just ask the very important question. Is this perhaps the game of the time?
It's the question that we've been asking ourselves for generations now, really, isn't it, Connor?
I don't know if I'd say... Well, when you say this, because I'm assuming you mean, is this the game of 2019? Like, not the best game of 2019, but the game of 2019. I don't know if I'd agree with that.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best game of 2019.
No, what would that be, like Sekiro?
It would be Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, the best piece of content ever made by humans ever.
That's not surprising coming from you. I also kind of expected you to say Astral Chain.
Dude, the world was really bright. But then they swung a big sword and it was dark. It was so good.
You know what? I can't judge you. My favorite game of that year was Fire Emblem Three Houses. Yeah, I have a much lower bar of quality.
I mean, I will say that I wrote, is this the game of the time? I think 12 hours ago at this point.
Oh yeah, how long have we been doing this?
Yeah.
God.
I mean, this is definitely the latest we've cut into of recording.
Oh yeah.
I think it is now midnight. Yeah, it is now precisely exactly midnight. Yeah.
Incredible.
I know.
Well,
it's really hot.
It's stupidly hot.
Like, we had to stop recording just to go to a cooler room because Connor's room is like a fucking heat box right now.
Yeah, but we won't be in here for long.
Soon we'll be dead.
Yeah, this is the last recording that's being done in this space. We're going to be in a different one for the next episode, so that'll be exciting.
Everything will have changed. Will we be competent this time? Find out next week.
But Ash, it sounds like we've kind of been covering our verdicts.
Yeah. But now we have to do the actual science.
The thing is that I feel like this was obviously my first foray into the Resident Evil games, and as a result of that, this kind of set a lot of impressions for how I feel about the later ones. And I've always felt like it strikes a really good balance between the kind of puzzle solvey and survival horror-y elements of the originals with the more action-oriented styles of Resident Evil 4.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the only one I'm going to admit is good.
It's a perfect marriage of those two styles.
Yeah. And as a result of that, I would have said for the longest time that this was my favorite Resident Evil. And I think I might...
And then we played 5. Don't forget, Connor, you're a businessman with standards.
All right, Resident Evil 5's last 30 minutes are great.
Resident Evil 5 is the game of the time.
That is the game of the time of 2009.
Yeah.
But this, I'm having a hard time deciding if I like this or Resident Evil 4 more.
Resident Evil 4 is a banger.
I want to say on principles I like this more because I think its marriage of horror and everything is really, really good.
See, I think the thing for me about Resident Evil 4 is that I think Resident Evil 4 is one of the most perfectly executed games of all time.
Yeah.
But I like survival horror a hell of a lot. So games that are in that style appeal to me more. Like RE4's strength is that it can cut through my dislike of action games.
Yeah.
But it's still really good. I just like spooky puzzle solving more than I like shooting them up.
Yeah, whereas I think in my end, it's a decision between this, the RE4 remake, and RE4 itself, the original. And I'm not sure which of those three I prefer, but I think right now I'm leaning towards RE... Maybe RE4, but this is still so good.
It's really fortuitous that we're not ever going to talk about the 4 remake, because I would become the most unliked woman on the internet.
We'll make it a Patreon-only episode, and then that way...
Or I just talk for 4 hours about how it's really good, but they fucking blew it.
And I'll just be sitting here being like, I like Luis, he throws the dynamite. Shall we complete the formalities with rankings?
Yeah.
Right. Quality-wise, how are you feeling on Resident Evil 2 Remake?
We've talked about games previously.
Yeah.
Most of them weren't very good.
No, but we've had more good ones than you'd think. We've had we've had RE4 itself. We've had Ridge Racer Type 4.
I'll pull back the curtain. The logic for me right now is do I think this game is higher quality than Resident Evil 4? I'm going to say no, but I like it more than Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put it second, and then Resident Evil 4 first.
Yeah, this is really close to the top, I think, in terms of execution and finesse. It maybe loses a couple points here and there just from, its weaker bits. I don't know if I'd say it's at the tip-top cream of the crop, but it's definitely high. Bearing in mind this is a list of about 60 games, and you've only seen about 13 of them so far. Me saying top 10 might not mean that much to you, but...
Are we doing it by all the games, or just the ones we talked about?
Because I do it by all the games.
I've been doing it by the ones we've ranked.
Oh, okay. We finally established this by season 2.
Because, if we're doing it by all the games that we've played, no one knows the games that we've played.
No, that's the thing.
So it's a pointless metric.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's fair. In terms of interesting?
Well, this is the thing about interesting, is that I feel like I could make an argument for every game barring Marlow Briggs and the Curse of Death. Because I find this game interesting. I think it's a cool return to a style of game that we've not seen for a very long time. I think it's very interesting in terms of how concisely designed it is and how it executes on its ideas very, very effectively. But I think in terms of being interesting inherently, as in could I show this game to Joe Schmo and be like, oh, this game is intriguing? And they'd be like, why? And they'd be like, well, because it was... I'm going to go middle, I guess, on this one.
Well, obviously, I don't think it's got much in the way of themes and that kind of thing, but I do just think...
It's got the theme of don't do big viruses, idiot. That's really powerful.
If a rat bites your dead friend and makes them walk around again, you get your handgun and you shoot them many times. And then
don't hire crazy people to be chief of police.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. But I think from a mechanical standpoint, and when you consider when it came out at the time that it did, what it means for the series and how it's influenced it since then, it's really weird for a remake of a game to be so influential over a series.
Right.
To be part of the iterative part, element of design, you know? And I think on that front, I think that to say that it's the middle of the pack in terms of interesting, I actually feel like it's doing it a disservice. But saying that it's on the higher end doesn't feel right either. So I'll put it right between those and say it's higher end and middle. I don't know. But in terms of fun,
I'm going to make an admission at this stage of the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember anything about us playing this game.
No?
I can't recall what we were doing. Where was it at my parents' house?
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Because I remember this. Yeah, I mean, I had fun with it as like a brand new experience, but I also remember the slight tedium of getting used to the survival horror space.
Yeah.
And I think on that front, like,
this is the second survival horror game we played after Silent Hill 2.
Well,
what was it before?
Technically Haunting Ground and Clock Tower,
Yeah,
if you want to count those.
Haunting Ground.
Well, yeah, true.
And also, Haunting Ground doesn't play like any other horror game.
No.
Well, not like any survival horror game, because it's all about the stalking and stuff.
Yeah. But, like, I generally will say, like, I genuinely have a tendency to bias the survival horror games on the lower end of fun more because I think the thing that draws me to those games are the themes and execution of their design.
Yeah.
I don't, like, listen, I've played my, like, Bing Bing Wahoo games where a little animal jumps around and gets coins and where you play as a big green guy and you shoot dumb aliens.
Yeah.
Like, it's very difficult for me to be like, oh, you know what I find more fun than that? Hiding in cupboards. And managing my 3 bullets.
And that's why you're not a man of culture. Like, I am a woman of culture. I take appreciation in the fine of things in life, gotta.
That's why we have a difference between interesting and fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we have that ranking, yeah.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's weird, but there's nothing more fun to me than managing my resources in this kind of game.
I mean...
Like being like, oh, I thought of a really clever way to get around this one section, or I've managed to conserve more bullets than I was expecting. And I'm just like, that to me is more fun than Jump On Guy.
I mean, I'll throw you a bone here and say I sympathize because I play strategy games, which is also a giant management sim. So I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people have different interests, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And that's why we have this wonderful list.
Exactly.
So we can show each other our weird niches.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful moment when those elements can, like, when one of us shows someone else another thing
and
we
cuts
both
across.
Yeah, and we universally agree, like, hell yeah, that was great.
When I spin away the man and crash, and I'm like, Connor, I love it.
Well, speaking of, I noticed a little resemblance to the little raccoon guy, the little bobblehead.
Oh, you've been seeing some parallels, have you?
Yeah, to him and like another gaming icon.
Oh my god, Connor. Has your time finally come?
I think it's time. You've brought into my world a incredible survival horror series that we have played much of.
Oh, yes?
And I think it's time for me to introduce a game that's very important to me that we have also played maybe too much of on the list.
Perhaps, and we have plans to do even more.
Another PlayStation classic, same year as Resident Evil 1.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Good year for me to be born.
It certainly was. Yeah, so I'm proud to announce episode 15 of the podcast. We'll be talking about Crash Bandicoot. He's a little orange man and he spins crates. Isn't it incredible?
Ah, he's so scared.
Wait, come back. No, it's going to be great.
No, they love Crash Bandicoot.
They better love Crash Bandicoot.
I swear to God, no one can dislike Crash Bandicoot. He's a fun little guy.
And if you don't, I'm going to convince you love him.
If you don't like Crash Bandicoot, you hate the Australians. And you don't want that. They're a power in the new world.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're coming for you. We know perhaps one Australian, if not more. That's right.
Join us next time for Crash Bandicoot on The List Goes On. Lovely to be here with you today, Ash.
Yeah, it's actually been... I was going to say it's been a while since we recorded, but I don't think that's true.
Oh, no, it has.
Has it? When did we do the award show?
Okay, well, we did so for the awards, we did that like
but the last time since we did K.
K was like February.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
No wonder we're so rusty.
I know, yeah.
This was your plan, wasn't it? Because now we're going to be so polished for Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be so fucking... I'm definitely not going to be exhausted from moving house.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I think I remember we went down a corridor once. Oh.
And I'll be like, no, Ash, it was the most beautiful game.
There were some goats on it.
Yeah, but... Thank you for joining us for the triumphant return of The List Goes On into Season 2.
Started talking about Crash Bandicoot, maybe put my shirt back on.
This meant to have the opposite impact. You mean to tell... Wait, no. They told me Crash Bandicoot would get me chicks.
Well, I mean, it worked. That's how you did it.
That's right, I am in a relationship, but not with Ash.
Oh. What were my years of work for, Connor? God. You make a man play Tulip, and this is how he repays you.
You make a man play Resident Evil 2 Remake. and yet he spurns you.
Yeah, that common floozy. That dream hussy.
I can't resist the raw sexual power of Crash Bandicoot, I'm sorry.
Are you dating Crash Bandicoot? We played Crash Bandicoot.
We've had a fling.
A tiff.
A tiff.
A soiree.
He's a real nice guy if you just get to know him.
He won't let me in. He's
No.
built a wall around his heart.
Oh.
I know. He's been hurt too many times before.
Damn. Well, to be fair, his first girlfriend did leave him for Pinstripe Portaroo, which is pretty fucked up.
That would fuck you up, yeah.
Yeah.
That would damage your opinions of women, basically.
Yeah.
You'd have like a really toxic view. And they're going to explore that in the 17th Crash Bandicoot game that we have to talk about.
Well, join us next time for Crash Bandicoot. Thank you for listening. If you are interested in more of the show, please feel free to subscribe, or whatever you do on Spotify.
If you're interested in more of the show, please watch them. We'd like that.
But yeah, it's very late. We are very hot. The hot British summer is bearing down on us. Yeah. So we're going to leave you for tonight, but thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, make good choices.
And take care.
Ciao.